Okay. Hi. Hey. Hello. It's Skycatlive. What's up, guys? It's 7/16/25. That's a July 16, 2025. It's 3:13 in the afternoon or whatever it is. 86 degrees outside, or sorry, in this apartment. 84 degrees in my house, and like 90 degrees outside. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday afternoon. What's up, guys? I'm sorry, I've got to go turn on the lights in here. I'll be right back. And there's gotta turn the lights on here. Lights, camera, action. Okay, and yeah, I think we're all set. Lights are on. Sorry to step away in the intro and everything. I was just checking my house, sorry about that. It is a Wednesday. I had a rather tough day. Not tough, but just like long day. I woke up at, I don't know, where's my phone at? I woke up at 6 in the morning. I got up at 8:30. But I woke up at 6, and I got up at 8:30, and I went with my mother to a place to scout for where we're going to have my stepfather's wake and memorial service. And so we went to a park, but it didn't serve, and there was no place to park, so we came back here. I walked for 2 hours today, and I clocked, let's go take a look. I clocked 5.9 miles. Which, yep, I don't know why it won't let me see this, but yeah, if I keep looking at it, if I keep moving it, maybe it'll let me show you. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, like maybe if I keep moving, it'll let me show you or whatever. So, yes, so there we go. 2 hours and 9, I walked for 2 hours and 10 minutes today, and I got 5.9 miles, 5.9. Yeah, 2 hours and 8 minutes, 5.9 miles. Average pace is 22 feet per minute or so, 22 inches per minute or so. I don't know what it is. But anyways, so I walked for 2 hours and 10 minutes today. When I was done, I took a shower, and then I went upstairs, and I finished. Well, I didn't finish, but I got like 90% of the job of roll priming an entire bedroom, because my parents had started doing a renovation of their bedroom when before my stepfather passed. So one of the things I'm trying to do for my family right now to show that I love my family is finishing the renovation that my stepfather started. And that fell entirely on me, because the people that we were taking help from have a problem in their lives, and they can't be here. And so I have been painting every day for 2 to 3 hours. I don't know if it's on my hands. No, I've done a pretty good job of scrubbing it off my hands and my face and stuff. But it's all over my fucking body and on my hands and on my legs and stuff. And so I roll painted and primed a bedroom today. I was on my feet for I don't know, 7 hours today or something, and now I'm finally sat down at 3:15 in the afternoon. I've got a 5-finger death punch here, and all I have left to do is water the garden and eat dinner and do my stream. And so here I am, just talking about my personal life and the shit that I did today, and what's going on and all this. And I'm going to be drunk today a little bit, but not very badly. And I'm just tired and out of it, and I'm just going to be like watching videos and stuff, and so here we go. I'm going to drop it off the big face. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Thank you for all the likes, subs, and follows. So I want to say, guys, my Twitch check came, and my Twitch check only comes like every 4 times a year, something like that. It's every 3 months. You have to wait 6 months before you can even get a check from Twitch, by the way. And then when you do, it's like 3 months later, and it's for the past 3 months. And so every 3 months or so, I get a check from Twitch, which is the monetization of the streamer side of this. YouTube doesn't pay me anything at all, because I've only got 190 follows or whatever, or subs or whatever. But yeah, but Twitch does pay me, and I want to say my Twitch payment came today, and I would just like kind of illustrate and throw a heart out there, And I'm going to log my Twitch here. Give me just a second here. But I do see that there is like people like Glorbis and Number 2 have been subbing for so long. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate you guys and all the other people that have been doing it. There's Amir. Amir's been subbing. There's a lot of people who have been subbing. I don't know what my subs are, so let's go look. I've got 5 subs. Thank you guys for the wonderful subs. I like doing the entertainment that I do. I love that you're my community. Thank you for supporting me in the dark, almost it's not the darkest time, but it's the time right after the darkest time in my life. Now, I'm falling up. The sky's the limit. The only way to go is up, bitch, to the moon. You know what I'm saying? To the moon, like Toy Story. And I'm falling up, and I'm doing really well, and I'm losing weight, and I'm getting a tan, and girls are noticing me, and you know I'm not so worried about starving or being on the streets anymore, and I'm on disability, so I'm gonna be okay, and I'm using what God and my country and my fellow countrymen have given me to take a step up on the scale. And I've lost weight. I was at 392 was the worst. It was the fattest I've ever been, was 392 pounds. I'm down to 236. And that's that's pretty good. Now, a lot of people freak out about losing 150 pounds. But for me, it was actually the easiest part. That's just, exercising every single day. That's not that hard. I used to do it a lot when I was a kid. I used to play soccer or go rollerblading or skateboarding or walking, mostly walking. We always had dogs and stuff, so I would always walk the dogs. And while my parents' dogs aren't my dogs, their cats are my cats. And so, there's dogs all around us and stuff, and I've been thinking about getting a dog maybe, and maybe a kitten. We'll see. There's a lot of things, but I'm falling up in my daily life, and I just want to say thank you for being there with me, and the likes, subs, and the follows, especially when the check arrives, you know what I'm saying? Check was in the mail today. It was sent 3 months ago, but they wait to make sure that you're not some crazy, fucked up streamer like Johnny Somali or somebody like that, right? They wait. I want to turn the viewers off too. I don't care about these numbers. I've never cared about these numbers. I don't care. The session's important, but the rest of it, I really don't care. So, so they wait. And so this check was sent 3 months ago, but they don't clear the check for 3 months. I've watched all kinds of videos about it and stuff. So they sent this check that I got today, which was a nice check, and I'm going to spend it on gaming. I'm going to buy games with it. And I think the game that I'm going to buy with it, guys, I'm going to say, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for Glorbis and Number 2 and Amir, and I can't even remember all the people that are subbed to me right now. There's like another person. I can't remember who it is. It's Rain Shani, my old corporation leader. But, who got kind of too tyranty and a little bit fascisty with it. And I was like, I can't do fascism in 2025. I'm terribly sorry. Not as an American, not after Trump. And so I left the corporation. But Rain Shawnee also subbed to me this month. And I want to say thank you to you four guys. Because over the last 3 months, I was able to save enough money to buy a premium edition of Borderlands 4. And so if you wonder what the support and the viewership and the AdSense and the money and all that stuff goes for, but right now it's not very much, but I mean it means something to me right now. It really does. When Borderlands 4 comes around, and it's coming around, we can see it. Like I'm on GeForce Now, and I'm loading Epic right now. I thought I was on Epic because I was going to get on Grand Theft Auto 5 enhanced edition, but if we notice, they're already starting to tease Borderlands 4 pretty big in the top banner and stuff, and they're talking about Borderlands 4. At least they have been. And so I'm excited about Borderlands 4. A lot of people aren't, but I mean, to me, it's just new content. It's just another game in the 10,000 games that I love. It's whatever. I like it all. So I'm very excited for Borderlands 4. And when I received my Twitch check today, I was like, oh, good. I could buy Borderlands 4 Premium Edition. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my fucking heart. The greatest thing that anybody could ever do for me as a gamer, as who I am, as Skycatlive, I'll cry about it. Thank you so much for the wonderful support. Is buy me Premium Edition of games. You guys have done it so much. You bought me Baldur's Gate 3 Enhanced Edition. You've bought me like I had my old mod. I'm sorry, I've got brain damage. I can't remember the name. I can't remember my stream sniper's name. I can't remember my stream sniper's name. I can't. Frankly, I can't. I can't remember these people's names. Sorry, but my old mod, Hops. My old mod Hops. Bought me a $20 game, which was really nice. You know, people buy me games and stuff, and so I want to say thank you guys. The greatest gift that I could ever receive. My mother's bought me consoles, but she's never ever bought me a game. She's like, I will not feel your addiction, and I'm like, I know, I won't ever feel yours either, which is cooking and shopping. Shut up, you. So I want to say thank you guys, because you already pre-bought me. I haven't bought it yet, but let's go to Steam. But you guys bought me Borderlands 4 Premium Enhanced Edition. The money's in my PayPal account. It's gonna sit there until fucking September or whatever, when the next check comes. But when the next check comes, I'm gonna buy Borderlands 4, and there's another game coming this season, and I can't remember what the fuck it is right now. I really can't. I honestly cannot remember. But you guys think I don't usually get this positive, but I don't give a flying fuck about money, right? There hasn't even been that much money. It's only been several thousands of dollars, you know. It's been several thousands of dollars so far. And I want to say thank you for all the AdSense revenue and games and stuff that you guys buy me. I really appreciate the support. I really do. But I mean, when it comes down to it, when Borderlands 4 launches, I have to go decide whether I swipe a credit card to buy Borderlands 4 either standard or premium edition. I don't ever buy enhanced or whatever I buy. I buy standard or premium, preferably premium, because it shows that you really like the product, you know. And so and that's usually $80 to $120, you know. And when the Borderlands 4 purchase day comes, when I'm not going to pre-order, I'm going to buy it the day it releases, which is what I suggest you guys do too. You guys are going to be able to see Borderlands 4 on my stream because you love me. And I want to say thank you. That like I can't tell you how reaffirming it is for my life force and for my body. And one of the reasons I'm walking like 5 miles today, I clocked. I'm dead serious. I walk for you guys like I do. I clocked 5.9 miles today. I'm not kidding. It's right here. The proof is right here. 5.9. And I walk for you. I try to preserve my body and my mind and my life for you guys, so I can just be there for 50 fucking years. And one day, I'm hoping that sooner or later, maybe one day, the greatest dream is to never ever have to buy my own games. You guys could do that for me with just your AdSense revenue. And it's one of the greatest realizations I've ever had in my life, is maybe I don't have to shoulder being a serf, having a job that's illegal, never being able to sell the online currency that I've earned all of my life since I was 8 years old. And like, you know, and understanding the war on humanity and the war on gamers that the American government has, and everybody else, all the other governments pretty much have, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so, you know, I think about building a gaming lobby, and I try to drag myself out of poverty and stuff. But one of the things that has to happen is I have to buy those games and put them on my stream if I want to be a gaming streamer. Now, you guys enable me several times to buy games that I really don't want to pay for, like Baldur's Gate 3 Enhanced Edition, which I gotta say, I played that game with Beg on it, and I bought that game with your guys' love. And I gotta say, it's the greatest testament of love I've ever experienced. You guys show your love to me by buying some of my games, and I think that's actually so fucking beautiful. I'll cry tears of joy over it. I really will. I'll go to Baldur's Gate 3. You guys bought me Baldur's Gate 3. I put 140 hours into that. You bought me 7 Days to Die. I put 320 hours into that. My boss mod Hobson, he bought me. It's not Beyond Two Souls. It's Beyond Detroit. Detroit Beyond Human, which is Detroit Become Human. Excuse me. So I put 15 hours into that, even though it's an old game and I struggle to do with old games and stuff. And so I just want to say shout out to Number 2 and Hops and motherfucking Glorbus who gave me like 15 subs one time. I gotta say thank you guys for supporting me, because I swear to God, every cent that you guys give me, I buy games with. And I gotta say, you guys helping me get a step up on these games, because I don't have thousands and thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to buy all of these games from these piece of shit, like you know, tortiously negligent software developers who charge $100 for their brand new game. And so thank you for, you know, the tears are on my cheek for you guys. I swear to God, you know, I'll cry for you. I swear to God. You guys have bought me other games. You bought me the whole Borderlands set was off of PayPal. I bought the Borderlands set off of PayPal. Thank you. I bought all the Borderlands games off of you guys, and it didn't cost that much money. Right now, it's only at like I think like $27 or something like that. But you guys bought me the Borderlands collection. Thank you for doing all of that. I owned Borderlands 3 already and Borderlands 2, but there's all these other ones like Game of the Year, pre-sequel. I bought off you guys. Like I know because I know when I use my PayPal, which is the money that you guys give me with your AdSense revenue and your support and your follows and your likes and all that stuff. And I just want to share the positivity and the joy. I'm sorry, I got some paint in my eyes today. I got paint in my left eye today. I bought Control with your guys' money. I bought Chernobylite with your guys' money. I bought a game I didn't play, which I felt really bad about. I was like, oh, I had them buy me Remnant 2. You guys bought me Duckside, which I did play for about an hour, you know. You guys bought me Remnant 2. You bought me Remnant 2, which is a really big fucking deal to me because I actually really like Remnant 2. I think that's a good game. I didn't play it enough, but I own Remnant 2. Yeah, and I put like, you know, 25 hours into it or something. And I like Remnant 2. I got some achievements on it. See, I played it co-op, and I like that game. Now, I feel guilty that I don't play the game. But, I'm sorry, my contacts, I got an eyelash in my eye, I think. It hurts so bad. Yeah, you guys buy me games, and I just want to say thank you. You guys bought me Starfield. The $100, look how many hours I have on this, 275 hours. You guys bought me Starfield. I'm not kidding. You think I'm lying or something, but no, like I spent $100 on the premium edition of Starfield. And I told Begon, I was like, the only reason I bought that, I was like, I'm buying this game for the soundtrack, and I'll spend my own money on the soundtrack. But it was my followers in my community who actually put the $100 there for me to buy Starfield. And if there was anything that the human race could do, I'm sorry, my left eye hurts so bad. God damn it, I've got like paint in my eye and it hurts so bad. If there was something that you guys could do to restore my faith in humanity, it's helping me buy games. I bought Tiny Tina's Wonderlands for $20 off you guys. I have the entire Borderlands collection, and so now coming up, I was very scared. I was like, Borderlands 4 has to go in this list, but I don't have $100. My stepfather just died. We had to cover the expenses for new cell phones, new iWatches. We had to cover insurance. We had to hire lawyers. We had to protect the deed. We had to do a bunch of labor. We're bringing in people to break down storage containers and stuff like this. It's just been a lot of money. And like, death is not fun. Death costs a lot of money and time. I know, because I just put 3 hours away, you know, painting a bedroom that I don't want to paint. And so I think about it all the time. And like the whole time I was painting today, I kept thinking about how I wanted to tell you guys how much I love you for buying me Borderlands 4. I mean, I like Borderlands 4 too. Thank you for, who's that? 2K Studios for making Borderlands. But, thank you guys for helping me buy Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and beating it. I beat Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I'm 50% done with it. I put 35 hours in it and I beat it. And, and thank you for putting these games in my coffer. You guys can't see the whole list because of what's going on here, but I have a long list of games, and it is about, I would say 35 or something games longer because of you guys. I bought Last Oasis off of you. I paid for a Fallout 76 yearly off of you guys. If you're wondering what I'm spending the money on, gaming is really expensive. It costs like between 1 and 3. There's an average. How much money does the average gamer spend per year? And it's actually an interesting thing. How much money does a gamer spend on games on average every year? right? And it's like $1,000 to $3,000. It's like $912, right? You guys are helping foot that bill. I'm dead serious. I get a nice check from Twitch every 3 months. There's 4 of them. And I gotta say, it doesn't pay the whole bill. One day it will. I hope it will. But I mean, like, it doesn't pay the whole bill. But boy, you guys made this $912 per year, and that's what I spend. It's something close to that. I know it is. This is a terrible burden that we have shouldered for me since I was 8 years old. Since I was 8 years old, I've spent so much money on gaming, or my parents, or my friends, or whatever. It's insane, or gifts, or whatever. And I gotta say, you guys have made a sizable chunk of hundreds of dollars payment towards this $912 per year. And that's one of the reasons why I wake up in the morning and I do what I do. And I just got, I very seldom have a true smile of joy on my face, but like, I will glaze you guys. You help me really, really, really offset this cost. And I really, really love you guys for it. Like honestly, I would come over and I would mow your yards. I would pass the bar and help you like sue somebody if you needed me to, or I would help you carry your groceries in, or I would I would sit there and help you talk about a death or something like this in your family, or I would help you carry something through the desert. It doesn't matter what it means. You guys helped me with something which was my faith in humanity. You guys helped me with that, and it was silly. I didn't think it could be such a simple thing as helping me buy games, but it was. It was something so simple and as beautiful as that. You guys are fucking beautiful. Thank you for supporting me in this dark time in my fucking life, because I couldn't have bought these games. I would have had to steal them, So thank you for making it so possible. This one's for you. The check's in the motherfucking mail. They already sent it. It's going to take 3 months for me to get it there again in I don't know, whatever it is, October or September or something like that, whatever it is. And thank you so much, guys. The check got sent today. The check from 3 months ago just arrived yesterday. I'm buying Borderlands 4 on you guys. I'm going to buy an expensive $100 copy of Borderlands 4 on you guys. Thank you so much from the bottom of my gamer hearts and my gamer soul. I don't care if it's cheesy. I don't care if they mock me or make fun of it or whatever. It means something to me in the modern age, in a world full of nothing. In a world full of nothing, you guys mean so much to me, and I don't glaze you guys enough. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Shout out to number 2. Shout out to Glorbus. Shout out to Amir. Shout out to fucking Rain Shawnee, and shout out to all the people who follow me, right? Like Glorbus, number 2, Fatal Claw, Wet Willy. It's slow these days because Twitch is dying. I used to get a lot more per day, but they were all bots and stuff. But when the bots dried up, as the botters lose their lives and their livelihoods, and they end up on the streets because they're fucking born losers and all this. We all take joy and redemption in their fucking downfall. And as the bots die and they fucking leave me alone, the real people hung around and supported me in the end, and I'm gonna buy games off you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the excellent content for my stream. You guys put it there. Thank you so much. So here, shout out to Philip DeFranco. Thank you for the excellent content for my stream. I've got Philip DeFranco, Some Ordinary Gamers.
Hello,
thank you. I'd like to sub to your channel. Thank you, Geography by Jeff. I'd like to sub to your channel. Thank you, Trap University. I'd like to sub to your fucking channel. Thank you.
I mean, even the people who wrote
Thank you. All of this. I'm gonna bump it back and we're gonna start over. I'm gonna blow my nose. I'm gonna get to the games. Thank you for the fucking support. I'm gonna gush over you guys for goddamn 25 minutes straight because it's I couldn't do this without you. Thank you for restoring my faith in humanity. Thank you. Thank you. I don't beg you guys for a lot of money. I ask for the support maybe once throughout the stream and then once at the end of the stream. And I think a lot of other streamers are constantly reminding you to do it because I got the support. I never had to ask for it. I've never had to ask for it. I say, here's the cat face. Come and click on the, like anybody who watches my stream will tell you. I don't beg you guys. I really don't. I say, thank you for watching me. Come and click on the cat face and donate if you want to. It's up to you. And if you're watching my stream, that's enough. I love you. Thank you for all the support. Skycat.live, bitch. And that, you'll catch me doing that once or twice throughout the stream when I drop a stream or I stop a video or something like that. But I mean, overall, Like, you know, I do it like once or twice a stream, but I mean, I know that the support is there. I don't ask you for it because I know the support is there. It was life affirming for me, and I fucking love you guys. Like, thank you so much for putting your money where your mouth is. I really love you guys.
Trump is now crashing out and viciously attacking his own supporters over the Epstein files. Like,
death to the fucking Trump dynasty, the Diaper Dawn dynasty, and fuck all the Republican fucking fascists who rolled them in, and fuck all the piece of shit traitors who ignored their fucking problems with the DOJ and their problems with goddamn Colorado and their problems with Tren de Aragua, their problems with black people, their problems with Mexicans, the Battle of Los Angeles, the ICE raids, and all the fucking fascism of the Republican piece of shit cocksucker right.
They're stupid,
fucking traitors.
And weaklings.
Don't get it twisted. Traitor is what they're probably going to be hung for.
Rogan and others are openly mocking and turning on the president.
Yeah, I would do it too if I was a fucking homie hopping little butt dumpling like you, Joe Rogan. I would homie hop too, you little bitch.
Also, why this new bombshell vaccine study is bad news for measles fans and RFK Jr. and what's really going on with this Trump voter data scandal in 9 states. We're talking about all of that and even more on today's brand new Philip Franco show. You daily dive into the news, starting with this. Donald Trump is now crashing out against his own MAGA supporters over Epstein right now, with Trump calling them stupid people, foolish people, and weaklings. All because they care about the thing that he and his people have been pushing for years. And while Trump has been flailing all over the place, where I'll start is with this morning, where he logged onto Truth Social and went on to say, the radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt.
The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again.
Again, saying their news scam is what we will forever...
Just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which I don't ever want to hear about again, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself, a totally fake and made-up story used in order with methamphetamine to write this wall of text to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 presidential election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters, they have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will. Even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. Hi, I'm the lunatic left. That's what I've been boiled down to. I'm the lowest common denominator. I'm the lunatic left, guys. Hi, I love you. They haven't learned the lesson and probably never will, even after being calmed by the lunatic left for 8 long years. You mean your presidency? I have had more successes you mean more downfalls in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. You have been impeached twice. You have alienated the entire fucking world. You have engaged with tariffs that have brokeraged hatred among all of our trading partners. You have fucked up Russia. You have fucked up China. You've fucked up COVID. You've never done anything good. Name something good that you've done. You burn people alive inside of your Trump fucking tower. You have been convicted of rape. You have been convicted of 34 felonies. Name something good that you've done, you worthless piece of shit fucking backstabbing traitor. Name something good that you've done. I have had more success. Yeah, success. Do you call any of the things that I listed success, you fucking liar? That perhaps any president in our country's history, only Nixon was worse than you. And all these people want to talk about with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems. What do you mean success-starved Dems? Is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. He doesn't want MAGA support anymore, as he says, make America great again.
Called the Jeffrey Epstein hoax.
I will reserve my editorial here. I am not a goddamn politician or a fucking member of the media. All I can say is fuck Donald Trump and his stupid, low IQ, rich man, never ever wiped his own bottom his entire goddamn life, traitor fucking ass. That's all I have to say.
Have bought
when you die in a bunker, I hope I'm there.
Into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson.
Oh, you think I'm being hot take, huh? You think I've got a hot take? Do I? Never mind.
after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. He then goes on to say he's had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And as far as his supporters, who understand, are people that just want transparency on the thing that he promised them, said, let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. And, when I read that this morning, I was like, this is like a spiteful, gaslighting boyfriend or girlfriend message. Which is also why it wasn't surprising that in his Truth Social replies, like his own social media platform,
if you turn your back on MAGA, who the fuck supports you? Rich people? I mean, that might be enough.
Replies, which is usually filled with people that glaze him like he's a Krispy Kreme donut. You saw tons of people fed up with Trump constantly trying to undermine this case, even though his administration was the one promising to expose it. And while you had, in his words, his past supporters calling him out, you had also the other side of the aisle grabbing some popcorn and mocking Trump for thinking that a statement attacking his own base was going to get them to shut up. Many specifically that he's calling Epstein a hoax when he was a fully convicted sex offender. Remember, there are very real victims in this situation. Well, there are a wide variety of conspiracies and speculation and unanswered questions with the case. This is a fact. There are victims, and with that you had some arguing that Trump calling it a hoax, it's just a slap in the face of the victim. So as all of that's been playing out, we've also seen Democratic politicians getting involved. With, for example, Representative Nydia Velasquez of New York writing, he desperately wants us to look away. So do House Republicans. We're not letting this go.
Release the Kraken!
Reportedly, Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego is introducing legislation that would ask...
Why do y'all look like J.D. Vance? It's not a good look. It's not a good look, traitor. I look at your suit dummy bullshit and your fucking terrible beard. Get a fucking razor, hippie. You fucking piece of shit. You don't represent America. You represent the fucking failure of the Republican F-it party.
These files related to Epstein.
You know, the maggot party. The maggots. The maggots.
Writing on Twitter, no more secrecy, no more protecting the elite. I'm leading the charge to make the Epstein files public and putting Republicans on the record.
Why do y'all look like J.D. Vance traitor pieces of shit?
Side are they on? Right, and that is, yesterday you had...
There's another fucking J.D. Vance looking traitor piece of shit with the orange face. What the fuck's wrong with you? You've been fucking children, you weird, shitty fucking oligarch.
Representative Thomas Massie separately introducing a discharge petition to force a vote in the U.S. House of Representatives on releasing the complete files. There's today learning that other representatives like Lauren Boebert co-sponsored the legislation. And
there's the female version of that.
Yes, if you watched yesterday's show, you know that House Republicans just yesterday blocked an effort to force a debate on the files being released. But as you places like the New York Times explaining, is more of the...
Abolish the Republican Party. Abolish the Republican Party. Abolish the Republican Party. Abolish the Republican Party.
Constituents demand the release of the files.
Abolish the Republican Party like Nazis before it's too late, before their blood stains our blade.
They are looking for ways to respond. And noting this
abolish the Republican Party before we have Holocaust here in America. Abolish the right-wing fascist party before they bring the fucking Holocaust to the Americas.
Petitions are always an uphill battle and rarely succeed, but...
Fuck the genocidal maniac right-wing. Fuck the genocidal maniac right-wing. Fuck the genocidal maniac right-wing.
This particular issue, one that is definitional to Mr. Trump's political base, and
you think I'm kidding? No, I'm not fucking kidding. Fuck the genocidal right wing and all the traitors they ride in on. Fuck the right wing. Fuck their wars. Fuck their oil. Fuck their money. Fuck the right wing. Fuck fiscal conservatives too. Fuck all the dinosaurs they rode in on. Fuck all the billionaires the billions that they hoard like pieces of shit. Abolish every Republican. Abolish every rich person. Fuck the right wing before we die, before they kill us. Fuck the right wing now. Fuck the right wing now. Abolish the right wing party.
Now being seized on by Democrats could be an exception. So all this buildup, it's likely at least part of what contributed to Trump waking up and just setting his keyboard on fire.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If we abolish the right-wing fascist genocidal fucking bomb-dropping, pro-nuclear bomb war-loving pieces of shit right-wing party, right now we won't have World War III. Simple enough, shall I say it again? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If we abolish the terribly genocidal, fucked up, racist, fucked up, anti-Mexican piece of shit, xenophobic fucking right wing right now, we won't have World War III. Would you like me to say it again?
I guess people on the right just increasingly demanding that the Epstein files be released and slamming his administration.
Abolish the right wing and all the fucking child rapists they wrote in on. Fuck them. Fuck them and their stupid Democrat asses. Get them the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, Republican asses, whatever. Get these Republican child rapists the fuck out of here.
For the way they've let this case unravel. I mean, even had Speaker of the House Mike Johnson appearing on Benny Johnson's podcast yesterday to say, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump.
You don't trust the American people. You fuck us for money to buy that suit, dummy. You take our money and you buy that suit, dummy. You take our money and you buy that suit, dummy. You're a suit dummy and you suck on our dick. You steal the public's money and you sell us out. You're a Republican and a Democrat, piece of shit. How much did those glasses cost the public? Or that suit? How much did it cost the public? You can go fuck yourself. Abolish the Republican Party. Abolish the Democratic Party right now. Fuck you and everybody who's sold out the American public. I can't fucking stand you. Fuck you. You're all traitors. How long till we hang you by a noose right in Times Square? You don't represent the public's interests. You're just a bunch of fucking traitors. How long till we hang you in Times Square? You traitors. Abolish the Republican Party. Abolish the Democratic Party. Fuck you.
We should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. You know, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need.
This is your lane, suit dummy. You've been fucking the public for a long time.
Joe Rogan talking about on his podcast.
But this is your lane. You've been fucking the public for a long time. This is your lane. Piece of shit, sycophantic, parasitic, suit dummy, fucking effort. This is your fucking lane. This is your lane. How much money did those glasses cost the goddamn American public, you piece of shit, gold toilet of a fucking person? How much?
And that is in another section of the podcast world. You had Joe Rogan talking about on his podcast, mocking the Trump administration.
They got videotape. And
Joe Rogan gets no time on my channel. Sorry. Idiots don't get any time on my fucking channel. Sorry.
About them this morning. Right there, it appeared he might have realized he's not completely infallible with his base. I'm kind of walking back his comments when he was asked to clarify his Truth Social post, including
go back to lifting steroids, piece of shit.
If he was disowning his followers, to which he said,
No, but I lost a lot of faith in certain people. Yeah, I lost because they got duped by the Democrats.
to Trump. Then at other points during the press conference, continued to undermine the case while defending Ambani's response to it.
They're wasting their time with.
Why are you like hunched over like you're taking a shit on the fucking Constitution? You fucking losers, suit dummy, fucking traitors. Burn that tie. How much did it cost? Did it cost the public?
A guy who obviously had some very.
Jesus Christ, why is the fucking Oval Office gilded in gold? We have people dying of trank in the fucking streets. You fucking weird, moralist traitors! What the fuck is wrong with you? Melt this gold down and save these kids in the fucking streets. What the fuck is wrong with you, rich fucking traitors? What the fuck's wrong with you? It's time we spank you, you fucking traitors.
Serious problem.
I want to melt this gold down right now. I'm going to melt this gold down. And I want to save some lives in West Denver. What the fuck's wrong with you, you fucking piece of shit traitors?
He died 3-4 years ago.
How much gold do you have around you? That's all gotta go. You guys have been stealing. You've gotta go. You've gotta go, fucking thieves. Fucking Republicrat thieves. You gotta go. You gotta go. You fucked up our country. You gotta go.
Yeah, Epstein hoax. And the sad part is...
Epstein hoax? Yeah. Oh, you like that word, don't you? The Epstein hoax. Yeah. All that court evidence, that's a hoax, is it? All that court evidence they used to convict that man, that's all a hoax, is it? Yeah, uh-huh. Like your life is a hoax, huh?
People that are...
Say it right to your
really doing
fucking
the
traitor
Democrat
face,
work.
too.
They're stupid.
Bitch.
They embody-
I am the crows come home to roost. I am the crows come home to roost. I will not watch these Republican traitors walk all over America. Fucking thieves!
I really think that she's done very good. She says, I gave you all the credible information. And if she finds any more credible information, she'll give that too.
Still, including Donald Trump's biggest supporters saying that his attitude on this, it's just going to hurt him in the long run. For example, Laura Loomer doing an interview with Politico today.
No. You guys aren't saying you tied yourself to the guy rolling over the barrel in Niagara Falls. You're going down with them, Republican traitors. You are traitors and we hate you. You haven't been serving the public. I might remind you about your fucking oath, you fucking piece of shit. Republican fucking traitors. You serve at the pleasure of the public. You might think that you serve at the pleasure of the fucking president. You don't. You serve at the fucking pleasure of the fucking public. And your backstabbing traitor asses have no place in this government. And I will not stand while you take a job. I will not stand while you take a job, you fucking traitors. You included, bitch. You included.
Where she said that this controversy, it threatens to consume his whole presidency. And Dad,
I don't care. You tied yourself to him. You're going over the falls with him. You're fucking crazy.
obviously, this is not a complete hoax.
I don't care if you're backpedaling. You're going over the falls with him, you fucking traitors. Fuck you. I'll cancel you in America if I want. I'm the goddamn public. Fuck you fucking traitors.
The fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving 20 years in prison in Florida for her crimes and activities with Jeffrey Epstein, who we know is a convicted sexual predator. This is why I said, and I'll reiterate it again, the best thing that the president can do is appoint a special counsel to handle the Epstein files investigation. And apparently, her suggestion...
I don't care about counsel to handle the Epstein investigation. Anything that you touch is shit. If you touched it, I don't ever want to touch it again, piece of shit, Republicans.
Is in the cards, with two White House sources telling Reuters this morning that
if you talk to the person, I want them out of my government. They're corrupt.
They're weighing a few different options. Things like unsealing new documents.
If you dealt with the Republicans, if you worked with them, if you gave them anything, if you sold them information, anything like that, if you did anything with the Republicans, you have no place in my future government, you fucking traitors.
Appointing a special prosecutor and drafting executive action.
If you worked with Republicans, if you backed them, if you fucking voted for them, you're done in America, you understand? You're done. You'll be flipping burgers, you pieces of shit.
Report even saying that senior aides have reached out to MAGA influencers to ask them to dial down their criticisms of how the Epstein case has been handled, which may also explain why certain influencers have seemingly gotten in line with the president and others haven't. You know, for now,
what?
Now we're gonna have to wait to see.
Yeah, getting in line with fascism, are we? Yeah, you're just gonna spread your butthole open, your butt cheeks open, your butthole open, so you can run backwards through the desert that is fucking Donald Trump. Catch some good cactus up your fucking ass. Fuck no, fuck Donald Trump, fuck the Republicans, and fuck you.
How this plays out, but the last thing that I'll say with this, for someone like Donald Trump, who has masterfully navigated his ecosystem in the political world, something feels like it has to be up with him either mentally or health-wise, or with the Epstein.
It's called methamphetamine. The only reason he's able to walk out on goddamn stage. You think I'm fucking? Do you think I'm dumb? No, I know amphetamine when I fucking see it. I've been around amphetamine 17 years of my goddamn life. This man's on amphetamine. They prop him up with amphetamine like Adolf Hitler for the last 13 years. That's what they did to Joseph Biden too. That's what they do to piece of shit Hitlers. They dope them up on amphetamine. They've all got fucking they've all got STDs from the hookers in the war.
Hey, specific. This is a bombshell situation.
Hitler had syphilis. It rotted his goddamn brain, and that was from the fucking hookers in the fucking war. The only women that will touch Republicans, hookers.
Their own creation.
Stormy Daniels or, what's his wife or whatever, the only people that'll touch Republicans, whores. Sick, sad fact. If you really want to understand the Republican Party, you have to understand prostitution. Like Jeffrey Epstein. Because nobody will sleep with Republicans. They look like Mr. Burns. They act like Mr. Burns. They might have money and roll up in some kind of fucking, you know, fucking Rolls Royce like Mr. Burns. So yeah, that money opens locks for them. But when like normal women look at Republicans, they're like,
Donald Trump and many of the people around him, they ran on, we are going to release the Epstein files. The elites, maybe
He wasn't going to do that because he's in it.
They're being protected by the government. We have to figure out the truth and get
I'm sorry, is
everything.
that too hard for you to comprehend? The Republicrats have been traitors for 55 fucking years since JFK. I'm sorry. You must not be a young millennial. The young millennials really dealt with it as we watched 9/11 burn in front of our eyes at the age of 16 years old. We were like, oh man, there's something really wrong with our government, isn't there?
That's why you have to vote. Make us the government. Then when they got voted,
I'm sorry, Twitter twat. You've been on Twitter for 20 years like a goddamn moron, but that doesn't change the fact that you're a Twitter twat cunt. You're a Twitter twat cunt. You're a Twitter twat cunt. Straight from House of Cards, you're a Twitter twat cunt. He's a Twitter twat cunt. All of these tablet brain rot fucking people that back the Republican Party, they're Twitter twat cunts too. You guys are Twitter twat cunts.
Came that government.
That's a word that I really don't use very often. But I mean, it's like, you know, that's who you are though.
All of a sudden it became, oh, it's the Epstein hoax. Actually, Biden,
Little Eichmanns.
Obama, Comey, and Hillary Clinton, they made the Epstein files. And
No.
even though they made them, they also
The
didn't.
Democrats didn't make the Epstein files. Detectives and police did. With courts and judges and lawyers and, you know, the system. The system made the Epstein files. Is that so weird for your fucking social media asshole generations to comprehend? That maybe, just maybe, there was actually a court case with some evidence supplied. It just seems so crazy. That must be hype, right? That must be cap. It must be hype and cap that they actually used evidence in a court case to convict Jeffrey Epstein.
Use them in the election where I was just...
It's all a hoax. It's all a hoax now. Yeah, your leadership is a fucking hoax, you piece of shit traitors. Your leadership is a fucking hoax, yeah.
Then, even though they made everything up, they left them there for me to be able to do whatever I want to once I got into power. Because all that makes sense. And actually, if you don't believe me, I don't care how much of a
I don't
fan
care.
you were.
I don't
Fuck
care.
You, you're stupid.
Fuck you, you're stupid. Fuck you, you're bad people. You're Republicans. You're bad fucking people.
Emotionally abusive relationship play out. Like at this point, some of his supporters, I think, are just hoping that he's sundowning. But for now, that's where we are.
Yeah, we're hoping that he might die. I wrote a message tonight that was like, man, I hope you die in a bunker and I hope I'm there. No, what I said was even meaner. I was like, I hope you die in a bunker and I pray I'm there. I hope you die in a bunker. You heard it here first, bitch. Trademark Skycatlive, bitch. I hope you die in a bunker. Like your predecessor. Donald Trump. And I pray to God I'm there. There, I said what I meant. Oh, I hope you die in a bunker like your predecessor, Donald Trump, and I pray to God I'm there when it happens. Oh, hot take that nobody cares about.
See where things go from here, and I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts and reactions to everything we're seeing play out? And then, I've got more news for you in just a minute, but first, honest question, how many brilliant ideas are just rotting in your notes app right now? Somewhere in that dusty graveyard of someday ideas lies your new side hustle. And I want you to make today the day that you commit to taking that opportunity or passion project to the next level. Or for me, it was my on-again, off-again book club. I'd put it off forever. And I kid you not, the DeFranco Book Club, it went from someday to launched in under an hour with today's sponsor, Squarespace. Because they make it crazy easy to build a site and you can start selling content, courses, physical or digital products. Whatever you've got in mind. So whether you're just show showcasing something, or you want to charge a one-time fee, offer a subscription, both done and done. And they've got stunning templates that look like you hired a designer, and their Fluid Engine editor, it lets you drag, drop, customize, no coding, no stress, no excuses. The team even uses Squarespace for our Daily Dip newsletter, where tens of thousands of you guys just get your PDS fix in your inbox every weekday. New polls, giveaways, PDS show notes, all run through Squarespace. And like clockwork, a Daily Dip issue went out today, and your project vision could be next. So hey, take that first step today with a free trial at squarespace.com/Phil, or scan the QR code and make today launch day. Just remember that when it's ready to go, use code Phil to get 10% off and let them know we sent you. But then next up in the news, we have to talk about Donald Trump making a power grab for the 2026 midterm elections. With reports now coming in that his minions are calling around state governments and they're trying to get into their voter rolls and equipment. And for some very important context here, that the federal government is supposed to have a very limited role in dictating how elections are run, thanks to a little sexy thing known as the Constitution. Right, Article 1, Section 4 states, the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. And so that is why whenever the federal government tries to stick its fingers into the election process, state and local officials get really pissed off. But that appears to be exactly what the Trump administration is now doing, with the Washington Post reporting that the Justice Department has recently asked at least 9 states for copies of their voter rolls. We're talking Alaska,
We are learning new details about plans to add immigration and customs enforcement detention facilities in Colorado. That's according to new documents obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union and the ACLU of Colorado. The ACLU of Colorado says the documents were released following the passage of President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, which has allocated $45 billion to ICE to expand its immigration detention infrastructure nationwide. Take a look at the locations being considered. One is the Hudson Correctional Facility in Hudson, northeast of Denver. 2 are in Colorado Springs, the Cheyenne Mountain Center on East Las Vegas Street, and the Colorado Springs Migrant Detention Facility off North Academy Boulevard. One is in La Junta, known as the Baptiste Migrant Detention Facility, and 2 are in Walsenburg at the Huerfano County Correctional Facility and Apex Site Services. The ACLU of Colorado says the expansion of the detention facilities will allow more than 100,000 people nationwide to be detained each day.
I'm Eleanor Sheehan, and I spoke with Walsenburg's mayor today about the proposed ICE detention centers possibly coming to his town.
ICE has been a hot topic down here.
The city of Walsenburg, one of the proposed places the Trump administration wants to open immigration detention centers. Would you welcome that?
Yes.
Gary Bazzani is the mayor of Walsenburg.
They're going to put it somewhere, and I don't think Walsenburg has the authority to override a federal government, so we may as well take advantage of it. We have an empty prison that's just sitting there doing us no good.
This is one of the proposed buildings that could be turned into an ICE detention facility. It's known as the Huerfano County Correctional Center in Walsenburg, and for the past 15 years, it's sat empty.
I think it's very secure, state-of-the-art medium security facility, which I think they could utilize. It isn't going to affect us and probably makes the security here better. I don't think it would hurt Walsenburg.
According to the ACLU of Colorado, the correctional center is owned by a private prison corporation called Core Civic. It closed in 2010 and has a capacity to hold nearly 800 people.
I don't believe that it's we're opening a concentration camp or all of those.
Hello. Hey. I'm a bit upset. They're saying that Trump stole the election in Mesa Verde County, which is Colorado. And Colorado was the battle line where they stole all this. And I don't know what that's going to do to Colorado. But yeah, and they opened 19 ICE centers. ICE retention centers in Colorado in the last 19 days, or whatever it is. Yeah, like in the last 3 weeks, they've opened. I'm looking at the map right now. 19 ICE centers in Colorado. Yeah, but they're. Yeah. Yes, what's up?
will allow more than 100,000 people nationwide to be detained each day.
I'm Eleanor Sheehan, and I spoke with Walsenburg's mayor today about the proposed ICE detention centers possibly coming to his town.
ICE has been a hot topic down here.
The city of Walsenburg, one of the proposed places the Trump administration wants to open immigration detention centers. Would you welcome that?
Yes.
Gary Visani is the mayor of Walsenburg.
They're going to put it somewhere, and I don't think Walsenburg has the authority to override a federal government, so we may as well take advantage of it. We have an empty prison that's just sitting there doing us no good.
This is one of the proposed buildings that could be turned into an ICE detention facility. It's known as the Huerfano County Correctional Center in Walsenburg, and for the past 15 years, it's sat empty.
I think it's very secure, state-of-the-art medium security facility, which I think they could utilize. It isn't going to affect us and probably makes the security here better. I don't think it would hurt Walsenburg.
According to the ACLU of Colorado, the correctional center is owned by a private prison corporation called Core Civic. It closed in 2010 and has a capacity to hold nearly 800 people.
I don't believe that it's we're open in a concentration camp or all of those such things. I think you have to believe in your federal government, your government, and let them do what they do. I mean, we're not big enough to stop them anyway.
Why? Because you're Milgrams, you fucking idiot.
Facility built and run by Apex Site Services. Mayor Visani argues detention centers could bring economic growth and job opportunities. For you personally, do you want a center in your town?
It's probably safer than a prison would be. A prison, they could release prisoners right here in our town, where they're not going to release anybody here. I don't see where it's a detraction in any way.
But others disagree.
I'm going to read you a statement from the ACLU. They said, quote, ICE planned expansion of immigration detention will only serve to endanger the lives of immigrants held in dangerous and inhumane conditions. What is your response to that?
Yeah, I heard that one. I think it's actually the opposite of that. If ICE is going to detain somebody or ship them out of the country, having shorter steps in between and safer places to house them and take care of them would be a plus, I would think, not a negative. I don't understand why they think that would be more inhumane.
But a statement from the ACLU says ICE detention centers enrich prison profiteers and place immigrants in our communities at even greater risk. Mayor Visani is unsure when or if Huerfano County Correctional Center will become an ICE detention center. In Walsenburg, Eleanor Sheehan, News 5.
Colorado Republican Congressman Jeff Crank sent us a statement in response to the facilities. He says, quote, I trust President Trump and his administration to make the right decisions regarding locations for ICE detention facilities. Unfortunately, under Governor Jared Polis and the state legislature's leadership, Colorado has become a sanctuary for illegal aliens. The administration is cleaning up their mess. Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobilati also sent a statement saying the city is aware of the reports and, quote, immigration matters are under the sole authority of the federal government and the city has not been involved in any planning or communication related to these reported facilities.
Now, earlier this week, we told you about ICE's plans to expand detention facilities here in Colorado. This map shows the 6 locations they're considering after receiving proposals from the private prison companies that own them. One of these facilities is a former prison in the small Weld County town of Hudson. Now, since the town doesn't have a say in the matter, Number 7's Claire Lavazorio went there and listened to leaders to find out about how they feel about this proposal.
Just 30 minutes of Interstate 76 from Denver is the tiny town of Hudson.
Hudson! I've been to Hudson! I love Hudson!
It's home to just over 1,600 people, and the Hudson Correction...
Hudson? Oh my god, I've got to send this. I gotta send this to my friends. Oh no, Hudson? My group conversation is gone, which is so annoying because I transferred fucking providers or whatever. So I don't care though, I want this group conversation back, so I want to compose a text to 2 people. What the fuck? What? Oh, it's because I transfer providers. That's so annoying.
Facility, one of the Colorado locations the Trump administration is eyeing as a new ICE detention
Hudson
center. An ICE spokesperson says the agency needs greater detention capacity and is exploring all options to meet its current and future detention requirements. Hudson was built in 2009 and has been without prisoners since 2014. ICE documents say it's been very well maintained and could reopen within a matter of 6 months. After the American Civil Liberties Union received documents detailing these expansion efforts through a public records request, I took the proposal to Hudson Town leadership. How does the town feel about this?
As far as my stance, it's not about being political.
Why is it beyond politics here for the town?
We are a small population of 1,650 people, so to think we would be able to, move the needle one way or the other with a nice facility coming here is just not realistic.
Town manager Bryce Lang says there's always been interest in the private prison since it shuttered more than a decade ago, after its lease with the GEO Group was terminated.
Everything from a vocational school to just different uses, including a data center.
Mayor Joe Hammack recently toured the facility and says it looks brand new. The ACLU worries about the message Colorado expansion would send.
There's now an incentive for private companies to advocate to this administration to detain more people.
But the town of Hudson is focused on preparing for the possibility.
The way I look at it is like any business that wants to open up in Hudson. They come in, we will support them.
In Hudson, Claire Lavazorio, Denver 7.
Our Mark Salinger went down south to Walson.
Oh, I can't do any more Colorado news. It's going to fucking piss me off.
Colorado, Florida, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New York, Oklahoma, and Wisconsin. With so far, Colorado and Florida reportedly handing over the information, though only which is generally available to the public, and the other states still reviewing the requests. Right, as far as what exactly the DOJ is planning to do with those roles, we can kind of only speculate, with the president's supporters claiming that they're just trying to make sure that elections are secure and prevent voter fraud, though critics accusing them of trying to manipulate or even rig the 2026 midterms. So all of that is according to the Post. Two DOJ lawyers explained their request by saying they meant to enforce Trump's executive order mandating certain rules around election procedures. And this, even though federal courts have so far blocked the most controversial parts of the order, like requiring proof of citizenship on voter registration forms and banning mail-in ballots that arrive after election day. But reportedly, the DOJ is focused on another provision about sharing information. And they, one, seem to be reaching out to both Republican and Democratic states, and two, taking different approaches with each one. So reportedly, for example, in Alaska, they question why no voters have been removed from the rolls for mental incompetence, whereas in other states, they asked detailed questions about the process to remove non-citizens and other ineligible voters from the rolls. But according to reports, the most unusual state by far was Colorado. Right in there, they reportedly asked its Secretary of State to turn over all records relating to 2024 federal elections, as well as preserve any records that remain from the 2020 election. A request that many experts and local officials found extremely troubling, with, for example, David Becker, who runs the nonpartisan Center for Election Innovation and Research, telling NPR, it would be an enormous amount of information, and it's very unlikely the DOJ would even know what to do with all of that. This appears more like a fishing expedition than it does some kind of targeted investigation. Right, and for some very important context here, Colorado has been a unique target for conspiracy theorists since 2020 because of this woman right here, Tina Peters. Because you see, she is the former Mesa County clerk who was sentenced to 9 years in prison last year for letting an outsider into secure areas of her office to copy election data in 2020. A crime which, mind you, she was convicted and sentenced to 9 years in prison for, though she never stopped being defiant, with her even arguing with the judge during her sentencing.
Did they not?
I understand what you're saying, Your Honor.
Did they count the ballots?
No, the ballot images were changed, and that's what the total shows. Okay, I'll move off of this because I can see that I would encourage to read the report number 3.
I've read them, ma'am.
You've read all of them?
I've read those reports. They were given to me at some point. Very
good. Good. Well, so you know what I'm saying is true.
But then in March, you had Trump's DOJ throwing its weight behind Peters and sending the court a filing in support of her release on bond while she awaits an appeal ruling. Right? You had an agency lawyer saying it intended to evaluate whether the state prosecution was, quote, oriented more toward inflicting political pain than toward pursuing actual justice or legitimate governmental objectives, which is unsurprisingly something that was echoed by Trump himself, who wrote on Truth Social that Peters was an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished, with him then adding, this is a communist persecution by the radical left Democrats to cover up their election crimes and misdeeds in 2020. 2020. With Trump finishing, I am hereby directing the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to help secure the release of this hostage being held in a Colorado prison by the Democrats for political reasons. Free Tina Peters now. And so understandably, you have many worrying that the administration's request for information it has something to do with her case. But also, according to the Washington Post, last week the request went even further, with Jeff Small, a consultant who's worked for members of Congress, most recently serving as chief of staff to Lauren Boebert, reportedly calling and messaging numerous Colorado officials. The report saying he specifically asked them permission to physically inspect their election equipment, something that is extremely tightly guarded by state law. Now, reportedly, the White House wouldn't say whether it was working with Small, but Small himself said it was, according to multiple sources. With a message to one clerk reportedly reading, "I am reaching out on a timely election integrity project I'm working with the White House on and was hoping to chat." And another message saying the request is from Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. And finally, you had one Republican clerk saying that Small told him that he was working with the Justice and Homeland Security departments on election security. And that clerk adding that he had gotten a call from a Homeland Security official who wanted to review his election equipment. Right? And so in total, you had 6 Republican clerks raising concerns about the White House's intentions and one saying, to me, it felt like they were wanting to intervene before 2026. Now, as far as what they could actually do, some fear that they're going to try to create a national database with sensitive personal information for millions of voters. Others think they might try to impose rules that kick eligible voters off the rolls and make it generally harder to cast ballots. And yet more suspect that they'll twist the data to try to make it look like there was widespread fraud and cast doubt on the integrity of elections. So whatever the case may be, you have people scared, and apparently enough so that more than 350 election officials from at least 33 states joined a conference call on Monday to discuss the White House's actions. And so in part, it feels like we're seeing soldiers lining up on either side of the battlefield and everyone just kind of holding their breath for what's going to happen with this next election cycle. But then next up in the news, and horrible news for RFK Jr. and measles, Denmark just looked at the records of 1.2 million kids over the past 24 years. And in particular, they looked at whether aluminum, which is common in many vaccines, actually increases the risk of 50 diseases and disorders, including autism, asthma, and autoimmune issues. And they were actually inspired to do this because of a CDC-funded study from 2022 that
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Got a phone call. Sorry. Gotta pee and turn on the sound.
That suggested that
I'll be right back. I
aluminum
gotta pee.
vaccines might be linked to asthma, which is something that concerned and was touted by anti-vax or vaccine-hesitant people as proof that they were dangerous. But then HHS Secretary RFK Jr. saying in 2024 that aluminum in vaccines was extremely neurotoxic. However, a big thing is that CDC-funded study was criticized because of a huge flaw. It did not differentiate how kids were exposed to aluminum. And so really, it just said that aluminum exposure in general might be linked to stuff like asthma. And so the Danish researchers, they were like, okay, let's remove that variable. And to do that, they looked at the medical records of every vaccinated Danish kid over the past 24 years, and they found very different results. Right, in the short version, vaccines containing aluminum are not linked in any significant way, or at all in the vast majority of cases, to autism, asthma, autoimmune disorders, and a wide range of other ailments. And that notably, as they do not deny that aluminum can be dangerous. Neurotoxic effects of aluminum have been observed in animal models, rats subjected to long-term high-dose administration, and in humans receiving high-level exposure through dialysis, occupational inhalation, or intravenous nutrition. However, and this is the huge key thing, those exposure levels are far higher than what a vaccine offers. It is why there is an understanding in the medical world that the dose is the poison. Enough water will have detrimental effects and or kill you. And with that, you have the writers pointing to well-attested papers which prove that the amount of aluminum a baby is exposed to when getting a vaccine is extremely low, and in many cases, not even detectable. It's claiming that vaccines are dangerous because of the trace amounts of aluminum. That's like saying you shouldn't eat almonds because it has cyanide. So yeah, if you were getting shots every single day, all day, you might get a dangerous exposure level. But the handful of shots that we get growing up, they're safe. Not to mention that they're a critical component of making these vaccines work by pushing the body to have a more forceful autoimmune response. Also, on top of everything, I just gotta say, it's not literal aluminum metal that is being injected to kids. These are aluminum salt compounds. I see a lot of people getting things confused, and there, in fact, you had a writer on this paper saying the aluminum that is in vaccines is in the form of extremely small amounts of aluminum salts, which is not the same as elemental aluminum, which is a metal. It's really important for parents to understand that we are not injecting metal into children. Also, an interesting aspect of this whole study is, while it looked at vaccinated children, an important thing to keep in mind is that the amount of aluminum within vaccines has shifted dramatically over the past 24 years. And so because of that, they had huge groups of children with varying dosages to compare to. And despite the varying dosages, there was no difference. And that's also without mentioning that if aluminum compounds at low doses was a problem, we would have been fucked a long time ago, since it's in a lot of foods that we've eaten since the dawn of time. So taking all of that together, it's why you have experts praising this as the largest and most definitive observational study on the safety of vaccine-related aluminum exposure in children. I mean, even the people who wrote that criticized paper from 2022, they were stoked on this study and they praised it. But the reality is that despite that, in 70 years of proof that these vaccines are effective and safe, it is a real possibility that at home, we're still going to see a wave of anti-vax policies under RFK Jr. And at least, as of recording, his department hasn't made any comment about this study. But then, finally today, I want to end with a congratulations and talk about y'all's comments. Starting with congratulations to Eddie H., SeatGeek's latest weekly winner, and he's using his $500 to catch a White Sox game, which I haven't been keeping track of baseball. Is that as painful of a watch as it has been for a while? They're 32-65. Okay, so things are going great for you guys. You know what? Respect. It would be so much easier for you guys to become Cubs fans, but you're sticking with it. Personally, me, different sport. I got tired of the Jets just punching me in the back of the head every single year since I was a child, and I fully embraced the Chargers before they started winning, notably. I was going to every home game watching Staley pick the dumbest fucking plays in the world. But anyway, for everyone else, that's right, SeatGeek is still giving away $500 in tickets, and you should definitely enter today if you haven't already. I mean, just imagine being the next winner and snagging $500 towards seeing your favorite artist, sporting event, or play. I mean, there's over 70,000 events to choose from. So whether you want to go watch the White Sox get destroyed with Eddie, or you want to go see Beyonce, but like I did with my wife the other day, there is something to choose from, and all you gotta do is add code PDS to your SeatGeek app profile for a chance of the weekly $500 prize. No purchase necessary. Wow, I think I need to pull back the amount of personality I put into that ad read. Everyone's gonna expect it. But with that said, let's talk about y'all's comments and some commentary. And actually, I'll be pulling comments from 2 videos yesterday because I gave you a double dose of film. Something that a number of people who watch the show, because they're sickos in the head, have referred to as being getting DP, crude, rude, and I really wouldn't rather have you any other way. But starting with Trump and Epstein versus MAGA is crazier than you think, featuring Tim Miller, right? We had Tim Miller from The Bulwark coming on. Why are you texting me, people? It's great having him on. It was actually our first time ever meeting and talking. And it was really cool to see so many of y'all in the comments welcoming both of him and Pete, because especially because in the past, like people, you guys, well, people that watched the show at the time would hate when people came on the show. And secondly, it was awesome to see that people really like those bonus videos, which by the way, those interviews are going to be something I do far more regularly. And if you want to get them early, like right after I film them, links in the description, go follow it. Right now we're calling it In Good Faith with Philip DeFranco. You can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you follow us there, which please do, give us 5 stars and leave a comment about how you like the podcast and stuff. Right, and then as far as the full main show, we had comments like, $200 million for a faulty AI, but we can't help those affected by natural disasters. Our government spending priorities are horrendous. But to that, I would say, if you, your mom, your dad, someone you care about, you lose your health coverage over the next 2 years when the Republican Trump changes go through, know that at least you or they are suffering so we could give ICE more money than most militaries in the world. Slamming random nannies' faces into the ground and clearing out, I guess, Home Depot parking lots. The most dangerous criminals. You also had ICE at
pieces of shit.
The GOP last week, release the files. And the GOP this week, protect the files. To which there, I would say, to be fair, GOP politicians, we'll have to see what the end game is and where all roads lead, but I have seen a decent sizable chunk of Republicans speaking out against Trump here. It's part of the reason today he was lashing out at them, calling them weaklings, calling them past supporters. He called them stupid. I understand why people out there are like spamming, oh, you fell for it again, award memes. But I also think Democrats on the left need to leave enough room open to allow people to at least migrate towards the middle, if not onto their side. And again, if you've been reveling in this, I'm not gonna villainize you or be like talk down to you. Because what a thing it is to feel like the thing that you've been warning other people about for the past fucking 4 years play out. And during that time, a lot of these folks would treat you like you're crazy, go, oh, you're suffering from TDS. But looking at the relationship with Trump and them, it's like watching an emotionally abusive person gaslighting someone. And actually, unfortunately, like if you've ever had a person like that you've tried to warn, like with their relationship with that boyfriend or girlfriend, and you see that playing out, they usually do kill the messenger. But also sometimes several years later, after they realize, oh shit, you were right, there's the ability for them to move on or back away or change. It's not guaranteed, and especially I think in a world where, I feel like we've been trained over the past decade to think that nothing fucking matters. Or they don't call him Teflon Don just because of the alliteration. Nothing's really stuck till now, so seeing it kind of stick here, it's like, it's a weird thing to watch. And with all this, harking back to the conversation I had with Tim Miller yesterday, I very much believe this idea of, I think Democrats really need to take the opportunity to, go, hey, look, two-faced hypocrites lying, but also find ways to connect that and other failings to what they can actually do for the people. Because as shitty as Trump's polling is right now, especially with him turning on a huge chunk of his base, Democrats, it's not looking great. Other guy bad, even historically bad, cannot be the whole push. And I know we all don't have... Well, it's happening again.
Thank you, Philip DeFranco. I'd like to sub to your channel.
2 videos today. Because the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy, it has captured the morbid curiosity of the American public, and it's not hard to see why. Here's how it goes. Presidents, a prince, and some of the richest men in the world all took part in child sex trafficking on a private island far from the United States, and due to the powerful nature of these individuals, it stayed a secret, and no country was brave enough to actually prosecute Epstein due to the certain blackmail that he had on their leaders. And as a result of this, Epstein became mysteriously wealthy and supposedly maintained a client list in addition to his already released flight logs. And then, when Epstein was arrested by Trump's DOJ, the ever-mysterious they killed him in his prison cell, and they framed it as a suicide in order to hide the truth from coming out. That is the Epstein conspiracy, and it can be argued that it is the centerpiece of Trumpism, or at least the latest rendition. But a significant portion of Trump's base, they believe that small groups of powerful people control virtually everything, and they use this power to partake in horrendous activities like cannibalism and sex trafficking. Or when Trump was running for president in 2016, there was Pizzagate, a conspiracy that said that Democratic Party elites were running a pedophilia ring in the basement of Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria in Washington, D.C. But that conspiracy would later fall apart when a gunman shot up that restaurant and then found out himself that Comet Ping Pong doesn't even have Colorado basement. And in Trump's first term, he pushed this idea of a shadowy deep state, this conspiracy that there were invisible networks that controlled the visible institutions. And despite being the most powerful man in the world, Trump insisted that there was this secret group holding him back, with many saying that what Trump called the deep state could just also be called the federal bureaucracy. But it also took on a life of its own, and it helped give birth to QAnon, which blended Pizzagate together with Trump's deep state conspiracy. And the QAnon conspiracy was that a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic child molesters in league with the deep state was operating a global child
I
sex
still
trafficking
believe
ring, and
this.
that Donald
It's
Trump was
annoying.
secretly leading the fight against them. And
I
this
still
shadowy
believe it.
figure named Q would post cryptic messages on an anonymous message board, and then the true believers would have
I
to
hate
decipher.
that I
But was
believe
revealed
it.
to likely just be two
But
plus guys writing fan fiction and not some secret agent dedicated to Trump's shadowy fight. QAnon essentially fell apart, but not before leading the charge to overturn the 2020 election. And then Epstein, he'd eventually become the next rendition of Pizzagate and QAnon. But unlike Pizzagate and QAnon, there is both very much real smoke and fire, which is why it's much more mainstream. Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire New York socialite philanthropist. It's never really fully been made clear exactly how he made his money outside of the generic term financier. And throughout the 80s and 90s, Trump and Epstein were friends who partied a lot. Trump's always had nice things to say about Epstein. There have also been lawsuits here and there accusing Trump of misconduct with Epstein by alleged victims, but nothing's really come from them. And in 2006, Epstein was charged with solicitation and prostitution, with him then being granted a sweetheart deal by Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida. And Acosta, he'd later become Trump's labor secretary in his first term, though he would resign just before Epstein's death over criticism of his handling of the case. Also, notably in 2017, Epstein said that he was Trump's closest friend for 10 years, and in 2019, Epstein was arrested by Trump's DOJ, and he would soon kill himself after being denied bond. And later, Trump's biographer claimed that Trump thought about pardoning Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, to keep her silent. And that is she's now in prison for 20 years for trafficking. And then you had Trump running to become president again in 2024, and there you had Trump promising to defeat the deep state by bringing about a reckoning, and then he'd be able to release the Epstein files. So in just 6 months, Trump has brought the government to its knees in subservience to him. With many saying there's no longer a deep state. Where could it go? Is Project 2025 and DOGE have dismantled most of the state capacity on federal government? But really, nothing stands in Trump's way. Yet, his DOJ said that Epstein killed himself and there's no client list. And hey, that could be the truth. After all, the Biden DOJ and the New York City medical examiner found that Epstein killed himself. It's also a long-standing DOJ policy to not release information about people who aren't being charged. If Epstein's list is real, surely the DOJ must have investigated it and found that there's nothing to it. In that case, releasing the list could damage the reputation of who knows how many. Though of course, if you believe this is all a conspiracy to help the rich elites stay out of trouble, then that's nonsense to you. But MAGA is currently in a rebellion against the president, and they are now, for the first time, having to reconcile with the fact that Trump was an associate of Epstein's, that Trump is the swamp, and that the president used the movement as a means to an end and is not a true believer. And Trump is certainly not making it easier for them to accept this because he just keeps telling them to essentially shut up. Now, for me, personally, I am always incredibly skeptical when people say, this is it, Trump's finished, but this does feel different than a number of things that we've seen. And while usually everyone ends up falling in line, but the longer this goes on and the hotter the anger gets, who knows? Right, and so to discuss MAGA's defection and feud with Trump, I'm joined today by Tim Miller, or you may know him as the Bulwark Guy. Where he's the host of the Bulwark podcast, as well as a personality on MSNBC.
I like the Bulwark,
you
yeah.
may have seen him on Crooked Media as well. He is everywhere, especially on My Dad's TV. And before all of this, he was Jeb Bush's communication director in 2016, and actually a spokesman for the RNC before he left the party in 2020. Tim, thank you so much for the time. I really kind of just, before we fully dive into the Trump MAGA feud, I want to talk to you about and ask you, just kind of right at the top, what do you think is the truth behind Epstein? And that's partly connected to because conservatives have been the ones historically that have pushed the claims, right? They're saying that they're deep state actors, that they're hiding lists of clients and videos of crimes, and there's other evidence being covered up. And Trump himself has even suggested there's a cover up. But like, what do you think is the truth behind Epstein?
I feel like we need the X-Files music to go on while you ask that question. You can do that in post. The honest answer is I don't know, right? There's some things we can know, though, right? It's very strange that only 2 people were arrested for this. Like, it was a crime that was going on for over a decade. There were a lot of victims. There were a lot of people involved on the financial side at minimum, or you would think on the organizational side was Ghislaine Maxwell really the only person that was helping him throughout all this. I don't think that it's obvious that it was not just Jeffrey Epstein that sexually assaulted or raped or whatever all of these women. There were other men involved. And so there are people that are guilty of crimes that were not arrested. I think that is a pretty easy declarative statement that we know. How many, how much evidence we have about all of them, that is unknown. That was really what undergirded the call for people to release the files in the first place. That's why people wanted more information. And that wasn't just at the beginning of all of this saga. That was not just like a right-coded thing, right? It was Miami Herald reporter Julie K. Brown that was really pushing for this and did a lot of great reporting that kind of reopened the story in, I guess it would have been about 2008. And so a lot of folks were interested in, back then it was sort of more like kind of tabloid, like People magazine reading crowd, tabloid reading crowd, right? And then eventually this becomes kind of a right-wing, MAGA media-coded conspiracy, but for a long time people wanted more information. So we know there are other folks involved. I don't. Now we're getting into presumptions. I presume some of them are people that Donald Trump knows or that they're supporters of him. Is he in there anymore? I don't know. We know that he was friends with Epstein. We know he's on the plane. Was he ever interviewed? Right. There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of tapes that were coming out of the Epstein home. Mm-hmm. Was Trump on any of these tapes? Maybe. Epstein told Michael Wolff, or allegedly showed Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff says that he showed him a photo of Trump with women on his lap, a bunch of women, some younger looking. It didn't say whether they're 18 or under. So, I think that there's obviously more information to be had. Exactly what that is, we don't know. But I don't think that's a crazy conspiracy. Now, what happened in his jail cell, that gets, I think, more into a little bit towards conspiratorial land, though. Right. Who the hell knows, right? I'd point out that when he died in jail, Donald Trump was the president and Bill Barr was the attorney general, so if there was an inside job that was going to take him out, it wasn't Hillary Clinton walking through the woods in Chappaqua with no power, right? To me, that feels like it's a little bit more into conspiracy land, but it also, is not something that it feels like people have been totally forthright about.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It does feel like there's so much smoke that it could explain the fire, but also, if you're talking about if Donald Trump was guilty of this, if he was on the list, which I'm not saying that he is, all of his actions would seemingly make more sense. Right. Because it's we know that he can be erratic. We know he can be a little all over the place. Well, a little all over the place is downplaying it, but it's just bizarre going from, and obviously, some of it's coming from him, some of it's coming from his people, and that's resulted into the Bongino Patel situation. But it does feel like a situation where, sometimes it's not the actual scandal, it is more of the cover-up or the perceived cover-up that is getting the attention. And I don't know if you think that. Do you think this is a situation that can go away? I saw, we're seeing more Republicans kind of trying to go we need to focus on the other issues, but this is their bomb that they brought largely. Yeah. Not every single one is connected, but this they've set the stage.
Child sex cabal at the center of the Republican Party. Child sex cabal at the center of the Republican Party. Who cares about the Democrats?
People that have been accused of crimes.
Will never vote for you again.
Right? He's always been on the side of the accused in Me Too situations going back a long time, right? He said that he wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well, right? So it's also possible that it's not him in there, but that there are a bunch of other rich buddies that he knows, and he feels like the accused, and he looks at it like that, right? So I think that I'd be open to that as well as maybe a lesser, cover up than covering up something that has to do with him personally, which would again also be horrible. As far as could this go away? Here's my view on this, and you really saw this playing out yesterday. And I started talking about this yesterday morning, and it was okay, well, these guys are very predictable at this point. Mm-hmm. Fox is going to shut up about this, right? State media, establishment Republicans in the Congress are going to shut up about this, right? They don't. It doesn't do them any good to talk about it. They don't want to embarrass Trump anymore. They want to move on to whatever other priorities that they have legislatively. The biggest Trump sycophants, Charlie Kirk yesterday, literally said, "I'm going to stop talking about this. I trust my friends in the administration." So, doing exactly what MAGA always accused other people of doing, which is, under pressure from the deep state, shutting up about scandals. That's what Charlie Kirk is doing. So, that, at some level, I think the heat will dissipate a little bit. But a couple other things are happening. Trump's other base, which is the people that he added to the coalition this last time, right? Which is kind of this tech bro, this manosphere, whatever you want to call it, the Theo Vons, the Andrew Schultzes, the Rogans. Those guys, they don't sing from a playbook, right? And they have been covering this story and talking about this and speculating about it for years, and their audience cares about it. So they're not going to stop talking about it because some guy at the RNC tells them to. They don't, Andrew Schultz doesn't care about that. Theo Von doesn't. So I think the story's going to continue in that world. And then there's another level of the more conspiratorial side of MAGA, the Alex Jones, the Tuckers, the Candace Owens. They're not going to shut up about this. Their audience is there because they want to hear titillating, right-wing kind of, conspiracies or theories. So they're going to keep talking about it. And then Democrats in Congress seem to have finally got off their ass on this, and there was a amendment that was blocked over in Congress by the Republicans, but even one Republican, Ralph Norman, voted for it.
Yeah, the Democrats still have some power.
DOJ has within 30 days.
I'm actually more scared of the Democrats than I am the Republicans.
So I don't think it goes away. I do think that the total pandemonium of this past weekend, where people are booing Trump at the TPUSA rally, which is the Charlie Kirk event, which is crazy and unprecedented. That'll probably die down a little bit, but I don't think this will just go away.
Yeah, those two worlds I think are the most interesting to me, right? There are the Schultzes, the Rogans, but then specifically I think the TPUSA, that one's weird because Kirk, just what I've kind of seen over the last 24, 36 hours especially is him trying to be more of getting back into his place, kind of being a good little boy. But then you have I had a few things. It was Senator Mike Lee saying would you like to see Ghislaine Maxwell testify before Congress? You got Laura Loomer and Steve Bannon calling for a special counsel into the Epstein case, which is a whole different can of worms of what that would look like. Megyn Kelly going after Bondi, which is interesting. I always love when it's people go after the soldiers, even though the general is obviously telling the soldier what to do and is defending the soldier. But it does feel like we are at this place where, Tucker Carlson is an interesting one as well, but because he's gotten the ire of kind of more MAGA and Ted Cruz and Trump recently, but it feels like the situation is exposing Republicans for. But once again, we're kind of assuming what is actually in the file, but maybe we're looking at the situation where Republicans are exposing themselves as not really caring about this situation nor the victims that are in it that are very real, and they only cared about it as a blunt force instrument, some tool to try and villainize or demonize Democrats or get Trump in office, and or Republicans who are just willing, kind of like Kirk, just willing to get behind the president no matter what because power kind of crushes everything. Because at the end of the day, he knows that probably 40% will stick with him.
Yeah. And like you said, look, this is not born out of genuine concern for the victims in most of these cases, right? So the question is what is the fissure over, right? And there are two things I can think of. One is that the villain is different for different of these groups, right? For the Charlie Kirks, for the Republican hack kind of crowd, Miles job way back in the day, it's been a long time ago now. Your job is to be against the Democrats, right? And just like if you're in the DNC chair, your job is to be against the Republicans, right? Your job is to give them credit when they get one right. You know what I mean? And so for that crowd, they're going to get in line because the Epstein was a tool because they thought or believed or wanted to pretend to believe that there were a bunch of Democrats, elite Democrats that were in these, that were involved. And so that's why they talked about it. And now that Trump says there's nothing in there, they're ready to move on. They'll find something else, right? But there's that other group that you mentioned, the Bannons, the Tuckers, to a lesser degree, the Manosphere guys. To them, the bad guy is the elites broadly, right? Not Democrats per se only, but you hear Bannon talk about the uniparty, right? The big banks are part of that, the big Hollywood, right? The universities, right? To that crowd, they are against the establishment status quo writ large, and they believe or pretend to believe, I can't get in their heads, that the Epstein files would bring down a lot of people, right? Like not just Democratic senators or whatever, but like elites, the people that they're going after. And so they can't let this go, right? Like this is fundamental to the worldview, right? Of people that have been pushing that there are these shadowy forces, behind the scenes in elite corridors where nobody ever gets held accountable, and they can do the worst things, up to and including pedophilia, and get away with it, right? And so they're going to keep talking about that, right? And that, I think, is where you see these guys like getting at crossways with each other over this. And just one last thing about this is that group also has an audience. Like, you can't tell an audience for 10 years, like, right, there's a secret pedophile ring and the elites are behind it, and they've stolen the election from you, and they created a fake pandemic, and, whatever, there's a laptop from hell, and then you get in power, and you're, 7 months in now, 6 months in, and you say, well, we couldn't find any of the perpetrators of any of those crimes. Like, eventually the audience is going to be like, what the fuck? You've been telling me for 10 years all these horrible people are out there. Like, why haven't we indicted any of them?
Yeah, and I think with that, it's definitely also the aggression of it. Like, are you still talking about this guy? It's like, you were talking about the guy. Why are you making me feel like the asshole? But, I mean, when you're talking about, how long it's been, I mean, do you feel like how connected is Trumpism with Epstein?
I mean, I don't want to overstate it because, like, obviously there are a ton of elements of Trumpism, and Trumpism is a lot of like what Trump wants. I think it's a cult, at some level. But there's one way in which there's like a connection that I think, which is why this has had more salience than some of the other like controversies that have been going around, and that is that like going all the way back to QAnon, right? Like you remember Pizzagate. And like the guys showing up to that pizza parlor in D.C. thinking that there was a pedophile ring in the basement of it, and Hillary Clinton was like taking baby skin, putting it on her face, and frazzle dripping and all that. I've spent too much time reading the MAGA blogs. I could give you some details on what they all thought. But so they were kind of like, this was a central part of the QAnon conspiracy around Trump won in 2016, and you have to Q signs at the events and et cetera. Okay, so that is one of your core beliefs, right? That there is a secretive cabal of Democrats that are doing bad things, that are going after regular people, and they also happen to be pedophiles. And then you have this real story in real life of a very prominent guy who has really prominent friends in politics and finance, who was running some type of pedophile ring, like at some level, or at least he was running a trafficking ring of teenage girls, whatever phrase you want to use for that. And so then you're like, okay, wait, that happened. And now you're coming.
Oh, bitch!
That just creates like a disconnect that, Trumpism is full of disconnects. Like that, I think that one is a little too on the nose to just, sweep under the rug, right? And I think that is the element of it that kind of connects, Trumpism, if you will, to the right.
Yeah, when you're talking about the disconnect, I think that's something that always kind of confused me, because I mean, you made the reference to Trump was president in 2019,
right.
But also I don't know how you disconnect their background, because I feel like Epstein and Trump, their relationship, it's been public for decades. Like it's not like the photos and videos were recently unearthed. And if you could have a defense for Trump that, okay, the reason he's in the flight logs is because of just, it was famous people being around famous people, and you could have some sort of disconnect. But then you're not giving that to other people that would potentially be there. I don't understand. Like, do you have any sort of insight into how that disconnect? Because it's I think part of what we're seeing are people now connecting those dots, and I don't know if it's because they put on blinders themselves, or it's like they're actually just being presented and finally open to that information.
Yeah, there's a couple of different, I think, rationalizations could be. The meme of like the Winnie the Pooh meme, and then Winnie the Pooh in the tuxedo, and it's the fancy description. So the Winnie the Pooh in the.
Okay, guys, wish me luck. 8 down, 3 up. please, please! Oh, please get it. What? What? You chose the wrong weapon! Why did you pull out an armor thing? I wanted to bounce him! You pulled out a weapon there, an armor thing! Why? Why did you pull out an armor? I tried to bounce him! I pressed the 3 button, you gave me something else! Oh no. Well, there it goes. Sorry guys, I wasted 25 minutes on piece of shit developers got the wrong button. Come on, man, I pressed 3. I did not try to heal in that moment. I did not try to heal. I didn't go for 4 or 5. I went for 3. What? Oh, well, there it goes. Goodbye. Come on, man. Come on, man. Do better.
The tuxedo.
Like, do better with your game. Like, why is your heal... Like, do something better. Like, than, like, the 4 and the 5 for heals as opposed or whatever. Like, do something better than what you do. This is on the developer.
Mega crowd was, and I think, and for all I know, this.
I tried to switch weapon, and it tried to armor, and it happened. How many times has that happened to you? I guarantee thousands, because the piece of shit developer sucks dick. It should be prosecuted.
Which is that in 2004, Trump had a falling out with Epstein. I think not over the women, but over some South Florida real estate thing, like rich guy real estate.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And so that crowd will say, well, like, oh, well, you know, they were friends and they were in circles, but then once it became clear that he was bad, Trump. You know, so that's one rationale you hear. Another rationale you hear, this is the just Winnie the Pooh with no clothes on, putting his hand in the honey, is that like Trump was gonna uncover all this, right? Like that Trump was around them because he is, you know, whatever. Like he was the one elite that was going to go after all the elites, and he needed to be in those circles. So he, you know, this is like the Trump is secret Superman kind of like whatever, like has secret magical powers, the Trump great man theory. And so that theory gets really hurt by this, like, right, the fact that he hasn't actually done it, and he's tried to just sweep it under the rug. And then I think there also is an element of this where, like, which is why you've seen this break out in the open so much in the past week, is a lot of these people just didn't see this news. David French, who writes for the New York Times and who is a friend of mine and lives in rural Tennessee, a fellow never-Trumper who's, you know, a longtime conservative who left over Trump, way more conservative than me, Christian evangelical conservative, and so he lives around a lot. He goes to church with folks. And a point that he makes over and over again is like, I don't think that a lot of, you know, people in whatever urban corridors, that liberal bubbles, realize just how much this information doesn't trickle down to those folks, right? Like they're consuming media world where like the story is just not even really touching them, and like that they are not QAnon people. They're just MAGA Christian folks who like watch, you know, whatever, primetime Fox, and like haven't even and don't get a lot of don't get barely any negative information about Trump at all. And so then all of a sudden this is coming out and they're like, wait a minute, he was like, there's a million pictures with him and this guy, right? Like they're learning information now that they hadn't learned before. So I think that like kind of a combination of those things are happening.
So that's an interesting way of saying it's like this kind of bubble popping. I wonder how long it takes until that bubble closes, or if it just immediately does, right? Like,
and you saw this yesterday on Fox. The Media Matters for America guys were like, I forgot. The last one I looked, he was sending some updates. And I think it was like at 5 p.m. and it was like Fox has mentioned Joe Biden 82 times today and Jeffrey Epstein 0. Right. So the bubble I think has closed back up very fast.
Yeah, it sounds like I feel like they're gonna be like auto pen. They're like, Epstein,
what happened?
Did he make the auto pen? Okay, then
sorry. Was Epstein on the auto pen actually? The spirit of Epstein was signing the auto pen.
Oh no. But I mean, so when we were talking about, you know, Bondi, Patel, do you feel like any of these generals, based off of what we're seeing and the kind of the reports and the updates coming out, that anyone is going to be like a quote unquote fall guy, or are we past that? Was that more Trump 1.0 administration, and now it's everyone's locked in because everyone becomes a hyper liability like Elon Musk.
Yeah. I think probably the latter. The Bondi situation is interesting. You know, it's unique in the sense that like Trump thought that he had picked loyal attorneys general last time, right? With Sessions, who was his first endorser of Republican elected officials, and then Bill Barr, and then both of them ended up turning on him at some level, at least from his vantage point. For those of us from our vantage point, it was just like they were doing their job, right, following the law. But he sees them as having turned on him, and so that role of attorney general is maybe. I'm trying to think if there'd be another one. It's, I think, probably like the most important role to him in the administration, ensuring that somebody there will not do that again. Like, will not, use the power of the law enforcement against Trump. And that's why Gates was considered for it originally. Like, he wanted a hack in that role. And so if Trump thinks Bondi's being loyal to him, and assuming, as I think we all do, right, that like Trump wanted this memo out, or at least blessed this memo. And if Bondi just keeps doing whatever Trump wants, she's not going anywhere, right? Like she has a one-man, audience, and so if the people at TPUSA are booing her, or Megyn Kelly shit-talking her, like she doesn't care about that, right? Like to stay in the job, she's got to keep Trump happy. So she's probably staying as long as, assuming this is what Trump wants, which I think is a pretty safe assumption. The FBI situation is a little different, and Cash is probably in a similar boat. Dan Bongino, you saw, he had to take a mental health day on Friday, and apparently some reporting, he was shouting at Susie Wiles. These guys have different calculus, right? Like, Bongino might want to come back into our world, be a competitor. I don't know. What about you, Phil? Are you interested in being deputy FBI director in a future administration? You have the qualifications now.
I'm set up for 2028. That's what I'm really lining up for. I'm going to make a pivot. No, I feel like when we're talking about those jumps, it does feel like we are, it feels like everything's just clownish. Like, I used to look to the government and go, and
at least they're not a clown, right? Like me.
Hey,
I'm okay to be a clown. I'm the public. It's not okay for my government to be a clown.
I agree with a lot of what they're doing. They must have some miles on them in this specific situation where they are best qualified, a million times more qualified than me. Now it feels like it's really just perception based, right? When you put Hegseth in, it's about the like masculinity and like what are the talking points. It's and it makes sense, right? Reality TV president, like it's perception's everything.
Yeah.
And it's been like the masculine push has been very successful for them. I agree with Scott Galloway that says like I feel like a lot of people are confusing cruelty with masculinity these days. But it's all a show. A lot of it's a show, and unfortunately, what we're seeing every single fucking day is there's like a real human loss there.
Yeah, I think maybe we're seeing it falsely in like some political roles. I don't, somebody that was like, I never worked in the White House, all my candidates lost, but that like worked with top level political people. There were always a lot of hacks around. Okay, like there's no shortage of that. That's like the FBI. Like some of these roles, though, it really is different. And like the FBI, the idea that Dan Bongino, who was like a rage baiting podcaster, is like the deputy director of the FBI, and like that really was a job that had historically been given to people that did have a lot of miles on them, prosecuting cases.
I never thought about that.
Domestic kind of espionage questions, like the things that are in the FBI's remit. And to take this guy who had no experience at all and put him in this very important operational role, I talked to a lot of FBI people who are deeply alarmed by it, right? And so I think that like perception is true about certain elements of the government, and I think this is where it takes you to a place that it gets very strange. It's like, okay, well, the clown is the one that's whistleblowing, and it's hard for people to kind of wrap their head around, right? Like, whose side am I on in this one? Like, Dan Bondi or Dan Bongino? But meanwhile, as these guys are fighting, the FBI has real work to do, right? It's not like
No, the
facility one
FBI has
some
real
other
work to
parts
do,
of the
yeah.
government. It's like,
That is true.
there are some parts of the government can go on autopilot for 6 months, and the republic will survive. Not really the FBI, and so and there have been people resigning. There was a great story in Lawfare last week about this FBI, like, very serious guy. He's like had been investigating Chinese espionage, whatever. And, like, he had gone to a concert with somebody that Trump didn't like, Cash Patel didn't like, and Cash wanted him to, like, do a loyalty pledge, so he had to quit. Right, like there's under the surface, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the FBI, and I think, like, to me, like, that is a secondary real story about all this. Like, our top law enforcement officials are in a pissing match over, like, whether they're going to release documents that far-right bloggers have been demanding, like, when they, like, should be, protecting us.
Well, but I think that's why I think in the past Democrats have said, that he's pushing unfounded claims. This is a really dangerous situation. But now, right, we're seeing that 180 from Democrats. They're saying, hey, well, actually, I'll ask you, do you see it as more hypocrisy, or do you see it as Democrats are like, well, you took us down this road, and so now we have to go down it? Because there has been that argument of there are very real things that are happening. Why are we putting so many resources towards this? What are your thoughts there as far as the Democrats are doing?
I don't think I'd call it hypocrisy, and it's definitely political. But I kind of come, as somebody who comes out of the politics world, I'm always like, I wish the Democrats would do politics a little bit more. Like, sometimes I feel like the Democrats get a little bit, sniffing their own farts. And it's like, it's okay to do politics sometimes. Like, this is doing politics, right? Like, they stepped in it. This is a legitimate issue. They should be held to account for it. And, like, again, like, they might seem like clowns, but if the deputy director of the FBI is threatening to resign over something, and if the attorney general is promising that they had evidence of crime...
What? Why did my guy shoot him? Come on! I dumped a fucking maggot to him with a purple! What was the difference? I shot first!
Like, the Democrats are obviously doing politics. There's an element of this of, like...
Come on, what was the difference?
And I think
I shot first, piece of shit! Guns are about who shoots first! Piece of shit, cocksucker! Fucking developer!
It's like, oh, if Fox and the right-wing media are talking about it, we're too good to talk about it. Like, that can't be a real issue. We shouldn't talk. And I feel like that sometimes gets them into trouble. Like, that thing could happen on the border, whereas, it happened in this story. I'm sure there are a couple other examples I could come up with, right, where it's like, oh, I don't want to dignify that, right? That's something for the fever swamps. And so if I was going to criticize Democrats beyond that, right, like, this has been an issue for 9 years that a lot of people cared about, and that you haven't because you thought it was just crazy people that cared about it. So, it's kind of better late than never, more than hypocrisy for me, I think, on my view of the Democrats on this.
Yeah, and when you were talking about Epstein recently, and I wanted to go back to see who you were talking about specifically, but on this topic you said that their credibility is unrecoverable in this situation. Was that in reference to Trump or his people,
Yeah.
or who were you talking about there?
Again, that was kind of a little bit what I was referencing earlier, so I'll just kind of expand on this. It's like, it's the credibility with the true believing MAGA audience. And again, I want to bifurcate this. Part of the true believing MAGA audience is just Trump is right. I'm in a cult. Everything Trump says is great. That's not it. I'm talking about the people who, like, really, day to day, like, listen to Steve Bannon, listen to Candace, follow Donald Trump Jr. on Twitter. They have been told that the Bidens were running a crime family, that there was a pedophile ring of elite Democrats that this Jeffrey Epstein guy was at the center of, that there was a pandemic, that, like, that Fauci and the elites were part of were responsible, right? I could go down the list. And now Trump is in there, and he's put in place characters that they know from their media. Pam Bondi and Cash Patel, Cash Patel was telling them this. Dan Bongino was telling them this. Trump was telling them this for years. And so if you put those in their shoes, you're like, wait a minute, you guys told me there are all these great crimes that were happening. Why haven't you indicted anybody? And so to a liberal ear, I think that sounds kind of ridiculous because it's all it's just in a world that is totally foreign. But if you're in their world where you've been getting this information every day, I've got another new nugget about the Hunter laptop. And now it's like, you guys control the Justice Department, you control the FBI, you're the president, you have both houses of Congress. Why haven't I thought you told us there were a lot of crimes happening. And I think that, like, if Bondi and Cash and Bongino in particular, less than Trump, because Trump is just because he has this effect on it, if they don't get a scalp, not to be, crass about it, I do think that their reputation, again, with some of these folks, some of them are just like, whatever, we'll go along with anything. But like with some of these folks, I think their reputation is going to be unrecoverable. The people that were like, this was what they cared about, right? I mean, I know that might seem crazy to some people, that it's like they didn't care about, whatever, like the big, beautiful bill. Like, they didn't vote for Trump because they wanted, tax cut extensions and Medicaid cuts. Like, they wanted the bad guys caught. And now they're telling them, well, no, that was just part of the deal.
The last thing that I do want to ask you, because one of the things I feel like when I do watch you constantly say, like, I think the Democrats should, right? Aside from trying to fundraise off of this, which they will always do, and send you a photo of Hakeem Jeffries with a baseball bat, what would you say that Democrats should do in this specific moment? We could talk about 24 hours or even just this week.
Yeah, so, this week in 24 hours, it's like what the Democrats eventually should do is hopefully the Democrats should focus on winning back the House, and then when they win back the House, the Democrats should not do what they did during the last time that they took over the House and just say, oh, well, we're not going to do the oversight. Like, we don't want to. Again, like, so I think there are tons of Democrats out there too. So in the future, they should be like, we should investigate this and, like, actually bring these guys in front and do what Republicans did for Benghazi and all these other issues. Okay. In the current moment, I like what they're doing as far as trying to pressure other Republicans to, with amendment votes on the Hill. I don't know why they haven't been doing this more over the past 7 months. Like I said, they got one vote from Ralph Norman already yesterday who voted with the Democrats on an amendment to a crypto bill to release the Epstein files. I think a lot of Republicans are going to feel pressure on this.
An amendment to a crypto bill to release the Epstein files.
Voters who care about this in red districts, and maybe they can be pressured. I think that there is a message here that is potent, that goes with kind of the economic populist message, which is Trump. Trump promised that he was going to care about working people. What he's done instead is give a tax cut for the rich and protect the richest people in the world who are involved in pedophilia, right? Like, there's got to be a way to get that message right, where it's like, instead of going after the Epstein perpetrators, he gave them a tax cut. I think there's a way to kind of get this into an economic space, that is more in touch with people, because I think that's going to be a key message for them in the midterms, right? Like, he promised he was going to get costs down. What has he done instead? Right? What has he done instead? He's protected the Epstein perpetrators. He's thought about going after Greenland. He gave a tax cut to rich people. He's cut your SNAP and Medicaid, right? Like, there's a way to kind of tie all this stuff together. And I think rather than saying, okay, I did a tweet about Epstein, now I can move on, I think there's a way to kind of tie this into the broader, whatever you want to call it, populist or economic focused, kind of message about, like, what are Trump's priorities? How can you use this story to continue to drive home with people, that he hasn't followed up? Very last thing, I think I think we're starting to see more of this now. Democrats got to go on these other platforms, right? Like, and coming on my show is great to talk about politics. I have a politics-based audience. Figure out how to go on Shane Gillis and Andrew Schultz, and Pete just did this recently. He was on the Flagrant podcast. I like more of that, and then talking about this there, right? Like, talking about bringing this up there, and being familiar and being able to do it. Like, this is I guess my final piece of advice for Democrats is say what you want about Trump, and, like, he's an idiot. Like, if you Phil, if you had him on the show and you're like, I want to really dig deep on Medicaid, I want to dig deep on the Medicaid cuts. He doesn't even fucking know what was in Medicaid.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
He said, hey, Mr. President, I want to have you on to discuss the 2020 election or the Biden crime family. Donald Trump could tell you, like, details about Hunter Biden's friends and, like, that web of conspiracy that, like, you wouldn't even know, right? Like, Donald Trump is in the fucking fever swamps. He knows this stuff. And he can do, and so when he goes on Rogan, like, he can vamp about not policy, but, like, about all this sort of ephemera. Democrats need to be able to, this is crazy advice, but like they need to be able to do that. They need to be able to go on fucking Andrew Schultz and bullshit about Jeff Epstein and actually like know what happened, right? Not just do like talking points. Not like we need accountability for Jeffrey Epstein. No, it's like, you know, do what we're just doing right now. Just like bullshit about it. Like be like, really? There was nobody else involved? It was, you know, da-da-da-da-da. They were neighbors in Palm Springs. Like, you got to be able to do that in this world.
I wonder if they're actually going to understand that message, because it does feel like there has been this push from the DNC of like some sort of messaging out there, like you gotta go and talk to people online. But I think to your point, they're maybe not talking specifically to the right people. I would love, they're knocking on my door more than ever, right?
Congrats.
And certain ones make sense, right? But I also think that I'm such a tiny speck. I think it's the Rogans. I think it's, or not specific people.
You're
but I
not
think it's
tiny,
that
bro.
world.
You're doing numbers. You're doing numbers over here.
I'm doing numbers, but I'm talking about the specific people that are not motivated to vote or don't actually understand the platform or are convinced by people going on personality podcasts to vote against their own interests. Like
this is so important, dude. This is like so important, and the people don't understand. Like the thing, like my number one advice for Dems, because it's like the opposite of the Obama era. So it's taken them a while to learn this. People that pay attention the least are who the Democrats need, right? Like people that are really engaged in politics, like are mostly voting for Democrats. Not entirely. There's a group of people that are really engaged in politics that like watch Fox all day, but like. But Kamala would have won, right? If the only people who were allowed to vote were people who like read the news that day, even if the news counted Newsmax, right? Like or like watching this, like people who engage in the news, Kamala would have won. So they got to get to people that are not engaged. And so sometimes you hear this advice of like, oh, you got to focus on the kitchen table issues. And it's like, nah, man. Like you got to go into these other worlds out there. And talk to them about what they want to talk about. If they want to talk about Epstein, you got to be able to like talk to them about it like a normal person, right? Like and just like you're hanging out with your friend or whatever, your Thanksgiving dinner, and you got your cousin or whatever that's really obsessed with this. I'm like, that's how you got to do it. And there is like this tension sometimes between like, oh, we should really focus on Medicaid cuts, and oh, we also need to reach the people that don't follow the news at all and only get their news through like random TikTokers and like. Like, you know, they follow a late weightlifting like influencer who talks about RFK sometimes. Like you got to figure out how to get to those people, you know, and this story is a way to do that, right? And so they should take advantage of it.
To go one step further on that, what are your thoughts on the going on the podcasts that aren't necessarily personality, they are in the other space? So like Newsom's done a different version of it where he's had people on and he's kind of just heard them out with little pushbacks. Thank you. Versus, you know.
Sorry, Dylan Aaron! You are no longer in my land! Banished!
Do you think that is helpful? That's performative, or each side goes, my guy won?
Yeah, I'm kind of less keen on that. I'm not like anti. You know, especially if you got the skills for it. Newsom's pretty good at that, right? Like going on and arguing. I didn't like it so much when Newsom was hosting them. Like if you go into their podcast with their audience, you make a couple points. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Pete going on Fox makes a lot of sense to me.
Sure.
Doing the yelling shows. Sometimes I do them just because I don't like it, to get it off my chest, but it's not like I don't feel like I'm doing it in service of democracy. You know, it's kind of just like...
emails I don't answer.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just like, I kind of want to argue today, so I'll pop on and I want to argue today. And sometimes I've been on a couple of them. I don't want to, you know, because God love them, they're trying to do their best. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but I've been on these shows where it's like 2 anti-Trump and 2 pro-Trump. It'll be like me and some congressman, and I'm going, sir, why are you doing this? like, this is not, you're not winning any votes doing this. Like, this is just a food fight. People are like watching, just like, people are rubbernecking this show, but like they're on the highway and they want to see a crash. And so like, every once in a while I do it for fun because I don't have a real job. This is my job. But, so anyway, I think it's a case by case. I don't hate going on, and you know, and also if there's an important issue to you, I guess here's one really good time to do it. If you feel like if you care about an issue that you think you're actually more in line with Republicans on,
they don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Going in there to talk about populist economic stuff and how this big beautiful bill actually didn't help working class Republicans. Going on to some Republican platform to argue with them about that, that's not a total waste of time. That's fine.
Awesome, Tim. Thank you so much for the time this morning.
Philip, man, it's so great. I'm happy that now that I know that you've been rejecting Democratic politicians who have been desiring to come on the show, I'm thrilled to be included. So let's stay in touch.
It's just, I don't know, there's part of the people that only have like 27% of approval from their base that have no desire to change, that are learning all the wrong lessons, and I'm like, I don't need to give a megaphone to that.
All right. I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. And then let me just say to you watching at home,
it was an honest answer. I like the honest answer.
Definitely let me know by hitting that like button. I'll also be getting these interviews up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if I was able to turn things around in time, there might even be a link in the description so you can go and follow and subscribe there. Which if you do, please give us 5 stars there, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Especially because I personally have been growing to like having people come on the show. With all that said, remember, you got another Philip DeFranco show, which you can click or tap right now if it's live, or I got links in the description. Love you, mean it, bye.
Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and I love conspiracy theories. But one conspiracy theory that I'm believing is more fact every single hour is a Jeffrey Epstein situation. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm going to just clue you in again. Jeffrey Epstein was one of the most prolific convicted traffickers, I would say. An individual that was connected to every high-profile, powerful person in the world. So this story kind of blends beyond countries. It's not just an America thing. It's actually international, okay? There's Canadians that have met him. There are Americans that have met him. There are Europeans that have met him. Dude, there's probably everyone from every continent that's interconnected with this guy. If you're a billionaire, you're probably in this club. If you're somebody that has the highest position of power, you probably have known or maybe even interacted with this guy. So there's this whole conspiracy about Jeffrey Epstein's client list. Who did he potentially involve in his sick and illegal affairs? A little too deeply, if you will. So obviously the reason I'm talking about it is because the most powerful person in the world, the President of the United States, POTUS, will not stop talking about it. And it just becomes a situation where the Streisand effect takes full hold. So we're going to get a little deeper into this. We're going to listen to it. This is the guy. These are the people. This is the side of the U.S. Political parties that were always like, we got to drain that swamp. We got to pull the plug. We got to drain the swamp in DC.
What? I shot him so many times. I healed so many times. I put fucking 75 rounds in him. Fucking die, asshole.
I'll be laughing at the right guys. And the best part about it is a lot of the people that kind of, are some of the big right guys that I've seen are actually pushing.
Hold on, guys. Let me take 75 rounds.
Because,
hold on.
To be honest with you, I think this is a situation that goes beyond, people.
Piece of shit. Piece of shit. Piece of fucking shit.
The elite trafficking human beings like cattle, okay? Simple as that, okay? We should all be against it. And if it turns out that one side is primarily campaigning to drain the swamp and make it so that, hey guys, we should bring all these injustices to light and bring real justice to people. If they're suddenly stopping shit, we need to all call it out. So anyways, I want to play a clip here where Trump is just losing it. Watch this.
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing. And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen,
I shot that guy so many goddamn times. I put 7 mags in him. You piece of shit software developer. I hate you so much. Do some math. I put 75 rounds in that guy. Do some math, you piece of shit developer. Fuck you.
And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by
Comey in my mouth. Comey.
With all of the different things that we had to go through, we've gone through.
Comey. Man, I haven't heard that in 3 years. Hold on. Hunter Biden's laptop. Hunter Biden's laptop. Comey.
What I can tell you is that I just can't fathom what has happened. Some people just need killing.
So, as many of you know, I've recently moved to Australia, so I thought, you know what, since I'm in Australia, why don't I talk about a story I covered a year ago that was also about Australia. So a while ago, I talked about this woman who basically hosted a family dinner. It was like a beef Wellington, and she used mushrooms, only to find out that the mushrooms were death cap mushrooms. So
Death
pretty
cap.
much everyone that ate the food, apart from one person, died. Now, I talked about it at the time, and I think, how could you have the worst misinput of your life that you use one of the singular, most poisonous fungi, in the entire world instead of a normal button mushroom? What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to put up a picture of a death cap mushroom and then a button mushroom. Do they look anything similar? This isn't one of those things where it's like, you know, the incredibly poisonous kills you instantly, does 10,000 HP of damage thing, looks like the normal harmless thing. No, it's nothing like that. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this story up again, even though I covered it ages ago, is because they've now finally came to a verdict. Because as we know, in every country, the justice system is comedically slow. She's now actually been charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 attempted murder of her ex-husband's family. So the main protagonist, or antagonist, I guess, of this story is Erin Patterson. And she was married to a guy called Simon Patterson. They got married in 2007. They had 2 children together. But unfortunately, like a lot of marriages, their love didn't last very long. They had multiple breaks, splits, but then kind of came to the conclusion, we really don't like each other and we can't live with each other. So 8 years later in 2015, they separated. They were still legally married, but not really. Though even though that's a horrible thing for anyone to go through, they seem to make it work. They both still gave attention to their 2 children, and they maintained a somewhat healthy and amicable relationship. This was until winter of 2022, where there were issues that started arising, mostly about child support payment, and it was also alleged that Erin Patterson had actually attempted to murder her ex-husband Simon on 3 different occasions. Once in November 2021, once in May and September of 2022. But these charges apparently were dropped, most likely due to lack of evidence. Keep in mind, her feeding the death cap mushrooms and one-tapping a bunch of people, that has nothing to do with the attempted murders I just talked about. That's a completely different case. But then on the 29th of July, 2023, Erin invited 4 people over to a meal, and only one of them would actually walk away alive. So the guests in attendance here were Don and Gail Patterson, the parents of Simon and Erin's former in-laws, as well as Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, and also her husband, Ian Wilkinson. Now, Simon, the ex-husband, he was invited, but I'm guessing his spider senses were tingling that day and he realized, no, you know what, there's actually been enough attempted murders on me, I'm not going to show up today. Now, the main course is beef Wellington. Now, even though beef Wellington seems to be like a British dish, I've never actually tried it. I'd like to. It looks yummers. But usually it's also lined with mushrooms, herbs, onions, pepper, you know, all the things that British people don't use in their food because we don't like seasoning. But again, most people just buy mushrooms from the store. But instead, Erin chose to use Amanita phalidis, more commonly known as death cap mushrooms. I also want to say the pronunciation for that, I probably absolutely messed it up. I don't care, just add it to the counter. Now, she claimed that she didn't forage for these and make a mistake. She actually went to an Asian store and bought the mushrooms. I'll tell you what, nah, I didn't fucking do it. I tell you what, man, I didn't kill them. It was all those bloody Asians, man. Those bloody Asians. They come in here, they take our jobs, man, and then they give me mushrooms that kill people. Now, even though that was the cope, that it was an Asian store she bought it from, and they must have accidentally packaged deadly mushrooms, the police later found out in an investigation that there were naturally occurring death cap mushrooms growing close to the town. And residents had actually already posted images on an online plant database to basically warn people. And also, Erin, in her search history, was using that website to find mushrooms. Now, am I going to pad the video out by explaining what a death cap mushroom is?
No.
Yeah, probably. Now, it's got the name death in it. What do you think it does? I think that's all I need to say. Well, you know what we could do? Go around to Gym Bros on TikTok and Instagram and tell them that there's 50 grams of protein per serving in a single death cap mushroom. They'll still eat it anyway. Now, the death cap mushroom, surprisingly for its name, it's #1 in the leaderboard for the most fatalities due to poisoning, and that is globally. One of the scariest things about it, though, is there's not really any treatment you can do. It goes straight for your kidneys and your liver. Most people only really survive by, when they know that they've eaten it, they end up getting a liver transplant. And another scary thing about it is, once you ingest it, for the first 20 24 hours, you'll feel terrible. Like, you'll be vomiting, poopy on the wall, all that kind of thing. But what makes it so scary is after that 24-hour period, you feel fine. You think like, oh, maybe I just had like a stomach bug or something. But that's when it goes for your vital organs. And most people, when they've got like a stomach bug, they don't immediately think to go to the hospital. They usually stock up on a bunch of water and lie in bed scrolling on TikTok. So Erin feeds her guests the beef Wellington that has the dead cat mushrooms inside of it. And then the next day, all 4 of the guests decided to go to hospital because they felt really, really ill. So on the 4th of August, 6 days later, Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson die in Austin Heath, which is a state referral center for toxicity cases. The next day, Don Patterson also dies despite being given an emergency liver transplant. And then on the 21st of September, 20 weeks after the lunch, the sole survivor, Ian Wilkinson, is discharged and sent home. Again, like I said at the start, he was the only person to have eaten the beef Wellington and survived. Now, you're probably wondering, did Erin survive? She didn't eat the beef Wellington. And that was like the first thing the police pointed out. Like, why did you not choose to eat this food that you prepared for everyone else? And on top of that as well, incredibly suspicious behavior, that 3 out of 4 people that ate your food ended up dying. And also the fact that they were your estranged in-laws. So Victorian police basically found Erin and arrested her on the 2nd of November, 2023. That's the video, the original video that I covered, which is like 2 years ago now. Now, the case itself was held in Morwell, Victoria, which is a really rural area. One thing I've noticed as well since moving to Australia, as soon as you move out of any of the big cities, the countryside here, it just looks like Red Dead 2 or something. Now, this trial lasted 11 weeks, starting the 29th of April, and only concluding on the 7th of July. So basically, around about a week ago from when I recorded this video. Now, this could be the Australian equivalent of the P. Diddy trial, because there are so many inconsistencies here that just don't add up, and they are just comedic. Again, this is a really sad story. 3 people died, but from a beef Wellington, that's already just so bizarre. Now, one of the biggest issues that the trial had is the relationship Simon had to Erin. Simon being the ex-husband who, like I said earlier, didn't attend the meal. Again, his spider senses alerted him. Because they didn't get divorced, they just got separated. Now, this separation legally just isn't acknowledged or recognized at all. The thing is, Simon Peterson didn't actually have to present any evidence. That's because at the time, he was basically protected because legally they were married. Even the judge at one point basically had to be like, whoa, do you want to hit the big button in Among Us and call a meeting? You don't have to. You don't have to. I made certain assumptions, and I just want to confirm that those assumptions are correct. The spouse of an accused person has a right to object to giving evidence. I've assumed that from the history of this matter, you've been informed of the right previously and were willing to give evidence nonetheless. Now, are those assumptions correct? Also, where's me lighter? And Simon then basically said, no. Now, the reason why this is important is because Simon was basically the biggest way to get a conviction on Erin because, you know, he's the husband. He would have been able to talk about what she was like privately. And if he didn't want to testify, the prosecution would have basically had 0 to work with, and it probably would have derailed the case, and she probably would have got off scot-free to cook a beef Wellington for the entire police force. He basically said, no, I don't understand what the rules are. Everyone was worried, and then he got the rules explained to him, and he just said, yeah. Okay. Now, the biggest question that a lot of people had is Erin's health. Why was she healthy when everyone else either died or were severely hospitalized? Now, I do want to make a correction here. I said that she prepared a different meal and didn't eat any of the beef Wellington, but what was said in court is even better, and this is straight out of Breaking Bad. So, according to Erin, after all the guests left, she was still, you know, a little bit hungry. So she decided to eat an entire orange cake that Gail Patterson had brought over for lunch. This apparently caused her to be incredibly full, so she ended up going into the bathroom to purge herself, you know, releasing everything from her stomach. Now, I don't need to explain the Breaking Bad reference here. I'm probably just going to play it up here or something on like 2 times speed. This might have actually been a stolen plot point for Breaking Bad. She poisoned everyone just like Gus Fring did, and then basically to not to have any suspicion, she made herself throw up to not get ill. The same way that Gus, when he drank the tequila, also drank some because they didn't trust him, and then he went to go throw up to purge himself. Now, later in court, she did admit to suffering with bulimia, which, you know, don't need to explain that. People binge eat, they feel like they eat too much, they want to purge themselves afterwards. But another thing people brought up is your children, Erin. They don't have bulimia. They're not LARPing as Gus Fring in Breaking Bad. They ate some. Why aren't they ill? Now, Erin did give her kids the beef Wellington, but apparently she very cleverly removed the death cap mushrooms before giving them the leftovers, which, again, not really a good look. I mean, you know, kids are picky eaters. I hated tomatoes and mushrooms.
What? I shot him so many times! I shot him with so many mags! Do some math, you fucking piece of shit developer!
You still need a motive.
I shot him so many times!
With the Blue Squid lineup, you could have been here at this time. You could have done
5 shotgun rounds! 2 fucking mags with the fucking
it gives the defense more kind of
piece of shit epic cocksucker!
Stroke? Wriggle room. She sells seashells on the seashore. Okay, I'm not having a stroke. Basically, she'd be able to try and use it to get off, or at least get some kind of lighter sentence, or even get the case thrown out. Now, obviously, there was the initial motive of her trying to get back at her ex, or trying to get full custody over the children, but if you thought that was the case, you'd think if Simon didn't show up to the dinner, she would have pulled the entire thing off. Mission failed, we'll get him next time, I'm gonna load a quick save. And also as well, you know, a spouse wanting to kill their partner to get, for example, life insurance money, those payouts are insane. I do like life insurance, by the way, and health insurance. I think they are some of the biggest scams imaginable. I have seen time and time again with life insurance how people will, you know, just get killed or injured or incredibly ill on holiday, and then the agency that represents the insurance is like, well, he had a beer like 3 years before it happened. Yeah, it's the bit. Yeah, we can't pay. Now, despite the life insurance idea, Erin already was pretty well off, so that wasn't much of a motive either. And on top of all of this as well, Erin would just constantly lie throughout the entirety of the proceedings. She lied about buying the mushrooms at an Asian market, and then also lying about having found the mushrooms whilst foraging. She even faked having cancer, which was one of the main reasons why the family were all gathered together for the meal in the first place. And then she also lied about not owning a food dehydrator, which was used to prepare the mushrooms, despite the fact that she was caught on CCTV dumping a dehydrator at a local dump. Again, this story is really bizarre. We have been through the reeking with this one. But after 2 years in and out of court, Erin has been found guilty. That is 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Now, under Victorian law, the sentence is life in prison, as it is in most places. They don't just shoot you. Now, the jury also concluded, in a very brave way, that she killed with intent. No way. Oh my god, I had no idea. And I mean, yeah, this was first-degree murder. This wasn't like, oh, I might fuck about, just use some fucking mushrooms. I'm not gonna make sure they're safe or not. Like she purposely went to get dangerous, deadly mushrooms, knew the risk to herself, so decided to either, you know, not eat the mushrooms or prepare a different meal for herself. Again, I'm not sure if her claim about eating the orange cake and then like purging, doing a gut spring in the bathroom, I'm not sure if that actually happened or not, but she said it in court. Now, according to Australian law, apparently the chance for parole, if you've had a conviction, which she has 4 charges of, is a minimum of 30 years. So considering that Erin was born in 1974...
What?! Come on, you piece of shit! I shot you so many times! Do the fucking math! Piece of shit epic! I put 15 rounds in that guy before he fired at me!
Basically killing 3 people.
I'm leaving the game, you suck dick, you worthless piece of shit developer.
Well,
fuck off!
In Australia, they don't have a stacking system, like for example in America. I mean, not having a stacking system seems a little bit weird, so you could, you know, she could have cooked beef Wellingtons for the entire town, or the entire city, or the entire region, and still she could be out on parole in 30 years. I mean, okay, I'm not a law expert in Australia, so I'm not really sure what the actual limit is there, but again, just seems a little bit silly. Now, Erin, thankfully, has one way out. She can appeal the decision, which means they basically have to do the court thing all over again. And you know, even if that goes through and an appeal is accepted, it's not looking good. So what's the moral of this story? Don't fucking eat mushrooms. They're very bad for you. Bad. Why do Australians talk like that? Bad. Bad. Fucking, I wanna go fucking bottle-o. Get me some JD. And then go bookies and do some bets. And go foraging for mushrooms.
If you go and use Google search right now, you'll find that it doesn't really work anymore. At the top of your page is almost always going to be this AI generated summary. And if you're looking for something like a business, like I was looking for a dog groomer near Austin, you're going to find most of the top results are sponsored. So they're results that someone paid to show you rather than necessarily the best results. If you go on Amazon, you'll find something similar. I had to go and buy slippers for my father-in-law because he's staying with us and he wanted something to wear around the house. So I typed in men's slippers, and the first 6 results for men's slippers are all ads. The internet has come to be dominated by all of these big platforms and these big websites. We're on one of them right now, and the vast majority of these platforms, maybe even all of them, just seem to be getting worse. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why that is. And it was really helpful when I started trying to think about this that I started reading the work of Cory Doctorow. Doctorow came up with this really useful term.
Doctorow's thesis was really good.
Doctorow is a science fiction writer. I actually found out about Doctorow because of his stuff on DRM, like this story, Unauthorized Bread. But he's also sort of a philosopher of the internet. He writes about how the internet used to be good, what went wrong, and what we could do to make it better. He noticed this pattern that platforms follow. When they grow and they start to decline and they eventually die. Once you learn about this pattern, you see it everywhere. So here's how Doctorow describes it briefly. Here is how platforms die. First, they are good to their users. Then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. Then they die. You can see this pattern basically everywhere, but Amazon might be the easiest example. So when Amazon first started about 30 years ago, it was just an online bookstore. And it was actually a really useful thing to have. Before the internet, some books were just hard to find. It would take a long time for them to arrive. And so Amazon was like offering something that was valuable for customers. Amazon started growing very quickly, and soon it was selling way more than books, and it was selling just about everything. And it did everything it could to make Amazon the best choice, or at least the easiest choice, for customers. And sometimes this would even go as far as selling products at a loss. They were trying to undercut their competition and just see, who would go out of business first. The goal was just to get as many people as possible to start using Amazon. And that's because platforms like Amazon and Facebook, basically any online service, benefit from something called network effects. These platforms become more valuable and useful to individuals when more people are using them. Facebook is basically useless if none of your friends have Facebook accounts. But then, once everybody has a Facebook account, it becomes very hard to not have one. I remember back when I was in college, maybe I'm showing my age a little bit here, but this was where parties were planned. So if there was going to be a party that weekend, oftentimes you found out about it because someone would make a Facebook event. When I deleted my Facebook account in college, I had to then rely on word of mouth to find parties. So those platforms are kind of sticky. They keep you there. The fact that everybody is on those platforms makes you want to keep using them. So these platforms need to do whatever they can to get a lot of people on very, very quickly. And for a while, they'll do this by making it just a really great deal for consumers. Such a great deal, in fact, that we often don't think about the consequences of joining these platforms. In the case of Amazon, it means that most of the media that you buy is locked under some form of DRM, or you are trapped permanently into Amazon's ecosystem. Lots of other places do this too. And for all of these platforms as well, it's just true that they are collecting heaps of our personal information. We don't think about any of those consequences because these platforms are just so good to use at first. That's the first part of the sort of enshittification cycle. The second stage is when platforms turn against their users and they start to abuse them. What happens is they start to prioritize business customers. Amazon actually literally would subsidize sellers for a long time. They had very low fees, or they would make it really easy to sign on to Audible or something, and Amazon would cover some of the cost. But they have to promise things to their business customers, which usually means that they make the user experience worse. This is when Facebook introduced an algorithm where they started suggesting content to you. And so Facebook, instead of having a feed where you got to just see whatever your friends had posted with the intention of you reading it, would now be cluttered with content from news organizations that Facebook just had thought might be relevant for you. We don't think about how big of a deal that shift was in the case of Facebook anymore, because every platform is like this. YouTube is primarily driven by algorithmic recommendations. So is Twitter, so is TikTok. We take it for granted that this is just how the internet works, but actually it was a big shift. And it was a move away from a kind of self-curated internet experience to an experience where it was mostly about serving businesses. these platforms become more business friendly and they become less user friendly. So the platforms got the users in the first stage, and then they started to abuse those users and bring on business customers, and then they turn on the business customers, and that's the third stage of the enshittification cycle. By then, the platforms are so big that it's hard for users and for businesses to leave, and so they are willing to put up with quite a bit of abuse because the leaving cost would be just so high. And that's when, for instance, like in Amazon's case, they can start jacking up the fees. I know people who sell on Amazon for a living or who built businesses doing this. I also know that Amazon can basically kill your business with fees or with a change to their algorithm. Amazon actually now makes billions of dollars by asking businesses that sell on Amazon to pay Amazon to be higher in the search results. The difference between being the first result on a page and the second result on a page is massive. So you are highly incentivized to start paying Amazon in order to win. I mean, it's a pay to win cycle. So Amazon also made self-publishing easier than ever and actually help people build like real careers self-publishing. But now you want to do whatever you can to be near the top of the search results in whatever micro genre you write in. One of the ways to be at the top of the search results is to pay Amazon. So again, Amazon kind of introduced a pay to win component to their algorithm. I've heard from writers that these ads are actually almost never worth it, that discovery is just so bad that the ads just don't do much. But it seems to me that what has happened is that Amazon decided that they were going to take advantage of the desperation of these writers to gain some exposure. They do this to writers, but they also do this to small businesses and sellers. On top of that, it seems like most of the results for a thing like a backpack on Amazon are going to be basically identical. They're going to be from brands that you've never heard of. And what I think is often happening is that these sellers are essentially just getting cheap goods sent over from overseas, and then they are quickly relabeling it. And that's why you can buy 15 identical backpacks. The only thing that's different is the brand name that's on like a tag or a little label. It might not even be on the product itself. Then there's fierce competition between those brands to just be near the top of the search results. They know that this is a system that they're going to try to game, and they're going to try to win, and it's pretty cutthroat for them, and it's really bad for users. But as long as Amazon remains just very convenient, people will stay. At this point, what you have is like this weird hostile relationship between users, businesses, and the platform. You've got three different groups. All of them are in some ways being hostile to each other. None of them are working together, and what benefits one group very rarely benefits the other two. The platforms and the businesses want to make users behave in a certain way by, shoving ads down their throat. The businesses have to fight with the platform in order to stay alive. The businesses also have to fight with each other in order to compete. And the platforms just are trying to extract as much value as they can from both the users and the businesses in the process. And Dr. O points out that this is a tightrope that these companies have to walk. And if a platform can't keep things perfectly balanced, that's when they die. One major scandal, one bad policy is enough to tip things over, and eventually these platforms start to decay. And I think he's right about this because I lived through one on the inside. So to explain this a little bit, I'm going to tell you a story about when I used to work in tech. So after grad school, I went into tech. Worst decision of my life, but I worked in tech for like 5 years. And in the middle of the pandemic, I started working at PayPal. PayPal is still around. PayPal has not died, but PayPal, compared to what it used to be, is a struggling company. There have been multiple rounds of layoffs, and it seems like there's tons of competitors, and people no longer think of PayPal as like the default payment processor on the internet. But when I joined PayPal in 2020 or so, it was amazing to be there because we felt like we were on top of the world.
I don't care.
One of the ways that employees felt this was that we actually got our bonus in PayPal stock, and we would be told we would get this many shares, and if the company was doing really well, they might double the amount of shares. If the company wasn't doing that well, they would lower it. Maybe you'd get zero because the company couldn't afford it. And there was at least one bonus cycle where I, who was kind of new to the company and hadn't done all that much, received a massive bonus because they doubled everyone's stock grant. And at the time, PayPal shares were selling for like $250 or $300. Nowadays, PayPal sells at like $75. It's like a third of what it used to be. So at least one time I got a really big payout from working in tech. I was able to sell almost at the peak for PayPal. Because I was new, my bonus wasn't like that big, but I paid off my credit cards and I bought a new guitar. So it was a substantial bonus. And at the time, the old CEO of PayPal was just telling investors, hey, things we're going nowhere but up. Things are looking good. Everyone was really optimistic. And then things took a turn. As soon as e-commerce started to slow down because people, started going outside again, the stock starts to plummet, and PayPal looks around, they get scared, and they think, how are we going to change things? How are we going to make more money? And instead of, making the platform better, it seemed like they just started to claw back as much value as they could from their users and those businesses. They raised seller fees. It seemed like it was getting harder for sellers to prevent scams, so it became a more hostile environment for them to do business. I always was keeping an eye online of what people were saying about PayPal. I started noticing people were just saying that it felt more hostile and that they didn't feel good about using PayPal anymore and they wish there was an alternative. So when platforms start to decline like this, they get scared, or as Dr. O jokes about it at a talk at DEF CON, they start pivoting and they look for new ways to make money. Remember the Honey scandal that was online a couple of months ago? PayPal owns Honey. So the money that Honey was making was actually money that PayPal was making. Around the time that the stock was...
What? Come on, I lived, you piece of shit!
Options and more
fuck you, F it!
To get people to just spend as much money as they could on the platform. And they even launched a crypto wallet. Honey ripped off creators and people who use affiliate links, and it was not that good for consumers anyways. It wasn't actually offering much of value. Buy now, pay later is a scam that is used to trap people into debt cycles. And PayPal's crypto wallet charged fees that were higher than places like Coinbase. There's no reason to use PayPal for this because the fees they were charging were significantly higher than a place like Coinbase. And then way after I left, PayPal launched its own crypto token. Like, who wants a crypto token from PayPal? You can kind of smell the panic. PayPal still exists, of course, but it's smaller than it used to be. And there are a lot of competitors. And I doubt PayPal is ever going to be able to bounce back. And maybe one day it's just going to wither away and die. I don't make predictions like that, but I don't know. I think they're too far gone. They got scared. They tried to extract too much value, and they overplayed their hand. And that's how platforms start to die. Now, when platforms are trying to extract as much value as possible from their users, one of the chief ways they do this is by showing more ads. You might have seen this number that says that the average person sees between 5,000 and 10,000 ads per day. I was like, wow, what a great statistic to be able to include in a video like this. Well, I decided to look into those numbers a little bit, and like a lot of things you read on the internet, it turns out to be basically made up. But even if it's not true that you're seeing 5,000 ads a day, it's almost certainly true that you're seeing more ads in your life now than ever. This isn't quite what Dr. O means by enshittification, but I think that the rise of ads in absolutely everything is just another example of internet decline. Because ads used to be the price that you paid for free content online. That was the bargain. Watch this free content, like this YouTube video, and you can compensate the person who makes it by watching some ads. Now, though, you pay to remove ads from things you already paid for. When online streaming started, one of the big value propositions for customers was that unlike cable, you didn't have ads. So you could just pay and you could simply watch what you paid for. Now Netflix has ads, unless you pay more. HBO Max has ads.
Boo! Boo! You suck, piece of shit! You suck!
Even things like a Kindle from Amazon with books, you have to pay more if you want a version of the Kindle that doesn't have ads. If you just want to have a device that lets you read the books that you paid for, and you don't want to be shown ads, when you open it up, you have to pay an additional fee. But I actually think that HBO Max having ads is the one that annoys me the most, because HBO, when it was a premium cable channel, didn't have ads. So the online streaming service is worse than the old cable channel. I recently subscribed to HBO Max, actually. I wanted to watch Righteous Gemstones, and I ended up watching the final season, and then I immediately canceled my subscription because I was constantly being inundated with ads. I'm paying you so that I can watch this show. It's not exactly like a cheap subscription, and I have to watch ads in between episodes, or I have to watch an extended ad so that I don't have ads breaking up the show itself.
Yep. Goodbye, guys. I love you. This is the end of the session for me. I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave Fortnite, and thank you. This is as far as I go tonight. I'm terribly sorry. I got a lot of real stuff to deal with in the real world, and I'll try to do my best to get that out of the way. But I have a lot of stuff to deal with in the real world. I'm terribly sorry. So, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. I really don't know. I'm sorry. I love you guys. Thank you so much. You've been watching Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. See you later.